Cronenbergs, Morty. Cronenbergs everywhere, Morty. Cronenbergs. That's right, folks. I just saw Infinity Pool last night. I don't know if this music's too loud, but I don't care. Oscars were last night. It's March 13th. South by Southwest is starting up. Everyone's all busy in the Austin area. Just want to talk about those crazy damn Cronenbergs. Fucking A. We got some guests. Other movie nerds. We don't have some music nerds in for a change, so that's cool. I always have like rock stars as my guests. It's like, no, I want YouTube fucking dudes on my guest list. Anyway, welcome to another episode of Tales from Dorkside, the Cronenberg special, I'm calling it. I'm gonna start like having, fun titles for these episodes so I can differentiate them from each other. But yeah, we had an exciting weekend. We got The Last of Us that ended. We've got, what else happened? Some other stuff in the burner culture, flipsins I'd like to talk about. But without further ado, we've got our guests. We've got myself. We got Tyler Wolf, who's returning for us. And we got a new guy, Josh.
Hi, what's up?
What's up, Josh? Now,
Not much. How are you?
Tyler said that you were like quite a fan of this Infinity Pool film that I watched last night in the middle of the night at 6 a.m.
Yeah. I mean, why did you watch it at 6 a.m., first of all? And why didn't you see it in a theater? But second of all, weird movie. Glad I saw it. We got to support the weirder movies in the industry or we don't get the weirder movies.
Well, that's true. But at the same time, like I haven't been to the theater since Licorice Pizza. And the last time I was in the theater before that was fucking Endgame, So, I mean, Endgame was very foreboding for a lot of reasons in the movie industry. It was like a metaphor for the film industry in general. It was like the end of an era with the COVID coming right around the corner and stuff. But yeah, haven't been to the theaters too much. I wanted to go see Avatar 2, never got around to it.
I think it's still playing. I think
I know.
You're good.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, it won best visual effects, so it deserved that. I mean, I guess we'll briefly.
But of course it did.
Briefly touch on the Oscars because me and I believe Tyler's coming tomorrow too, right?
Yeah, and I'm trying to
get Josh involved.
I hosted the Oscars last night at the Princess Cinema. There was one guy in the audience who kept heckling me. Love that guy. He's the best.
Did you know him or is he a stranger?
No, he was just yelling at me to get a prize, but I refused to give him a prize for like 8 commercial breaks. And I'm like, this is comedy right here.
See, yeah, I wanted to talk. I did an Oscar special last year called About Last Night, and it was all about the Oscar slap incident. I had people like unfriended me because I was saying like Will Smith shouldn't have done that. Hilarious.
Oh my goodness. I was doing that, hosting that live at the Princess.
Hell yeah.
Like we didn't know what was going on. It was just like the sound dropped out completely and we're just all watching the screen. And I was and then I just I'm like, I have to go say something now.
Yeah, honestly,
and I was like, so what do you think?
That's so funny, dude. And how many people are in this Princess Theater when you're hosting this stuff?
Oh man, like last year
with a lot of people.
We had 40 last night. We had 42 last year, but last night we had like 140 people. It was fantastic. Packed the whole house. Tyler, Cinema One. I had a sold out crowd. It was fantastic.
Sweet. I didn't even know you could fit that many people into that theater.
140.
Everyone's sitting on each other's laps.
There's only one kid doing that. That was a baby though.
Well, yeah, me and hopefully Josh and Tyler are going to be on Dark Hours Let's Talk Content channel tomorrow to talk about the Oscars in depth for about at least an hour. And so that'll be fun. So that's kind of, I want to brush over like, congratulations, Everything Everywhere All at Once. I was kind of rooting for the Banshees, but still, that was a good movie. I thought it was a little overhyped, overpraised, but maybe I should watch it a second time. Maybe I'll appreciate it more, like Hereditary.
I do want to add, when we were doing the Oscars last night, I was talking about TV shows of the year and movies, and I was like, I made a joke in my live broadcast. I'm like, there's absolutely no way that I was making fun of Velma, is that it was the first thing ever pirated. And then Mindy Kaling presents, and then John Travolta comes out on stage, and I'm like, what is happening right now? But that was a weird part of the show, but the rest I enjoyed.
I didn't even watch the Oscars. I fell asleep last night at 8. This is another reason why I was up at 6 a.m. because I took a nap from like 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. So I woke up at like 11 p.m. and I looked at my phone and it's like, oh, here's all the Oscar winners right here. Oh, yeah, Everything Everywhere All at Once. The Whale. Good for you. Okay, cool. That's the way to watch the Oscars nowadays. It's just like just kind of catch the highlights and the I don't know. I just need to know who wins. I don't need to see
They put all
everyone.
12 categories back in.
Oh, cool. Yeah,
all
I don't
12
need to
categories live, 3.5 hours from 8 to 11:30 with a 4-hour.
What was the one that they had taken out? Like they had taken out a few like best
and,
documentary,
like, short film and stuff.
No one gives a shit about that. It's like, yeah, but that's the point is the average public doesn't know about this shit. So when you broadcast it, like everyone's like, oh, maybe I'll check out that short film somewhere. It's so stupid. But yeah, I mean, just seeing a bunch of I heard Jimmy Kimmel. I saw that Babylon Bee joke about like highest rated Oscars ever because everyone's hoping to see Jimmy Kimmel get slapped.
There's another one. They put out another one saying the Academy continuing their streak of black hosts with Jimmy Kimmel.
Hey, Karl Malone or whatever he played.
It's whatever basketball player he played on.
Karl Malone. Hey, on the Men's Show. Yeah, I remember that shit.
Jimmy Kimmel's monologue was pretty solid, but he made fun of the slap a lot, and it was fantastic.
Of course, you have to mention it. Especially since Will Smith was banned, so you knew he was safe. It was safe to make fun of him and his wife.
Was Matt Damon too busy to take another 100?
No, he talked about that in the end monologue. He's like, "Sorry, Matt Damon couldn't be here, but I didn't want him to be."
Oh, right, because him and Matt Damon have a problem, right?
Yeah,
for real.
Really? That's the best he could come up with.
I don't know. I guess that was near the end of the show. So,
did you really have a beef, or was that kayfabe? I don't remember.
Oh, that's got to be made up.
Refresh my memory, because I know this is like in the late '90s when this was happening. Like, he had a problem with Matt Damon. Why?
He's still going on. He like came to his house and was like throwing bricks through it for one of them at one point.
It's like practical joking. I get it.
Yeah.
Driving him crazy. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because Kimmel dated Silverman and then she dated Matt Damon, and then it turned over to him saying that Kimmel was dating Ben Affleck because
that was a joke I also made last night when what's her name went to present Cocaine Bear and there was a bear there. She sounded like Sarah Silverman with a cold.
Nice. Yeah,
like,
I don't know.
Sounded awful. The Cocaine Bear was like twerking in the aisle and trying to eat somebody. It was weird, man. It was a weird time. Tyler's
I mean, I did hear that this year's Academy Awards was the ceremony was a lot more fun, a lot less fucking scolding the audience. Because that's what I was saying is like the thing. It's like, no one's watching these female-led superhero movies. So instead of like changing the formula, they're trying to like change the audience. Like they go, no, you guys need it. We're gonna make one more female-led audience.
Oh no, they did that. They had a 1 minute turn up for the Little Mermaid.
Oh, see, I
okay.
I was a guy growing up. Like most men, I was a boy growing up, and I don't know. I didn't really watch The Little Mermaid so much. I was more about Rescuers Down Under and Jurassic Park and RoboCop and like Disney movies would have been. What are the other Disney movies I liked?
Robin Hood. Were you a Robin Hood fan?
Oh, I love that, dude. That song.
That is the best.
I'm hearing it in the commercials now, but it's that song like "Love Goes On and On."
Yeah.
That's such a great little 1.5-minute long song.
So I sat through the Little Mermaid trailer today with the sound off.
It looks so weird, right?
Okay, first of all, the underwater effects.
They look like they're floating in the air.
Okay, the water itself looks fine, but like the sea creatures, the magic spells and everything, it looks so fucking phony. Well, that's and then when Scuttle and Sebastian crawl their way into the frame, it is fucking terrifying.
It's pretty weird. It's just like Lion King all over again. Like because Lion King, they could have easily like made him look a little more cartoony with like more emotive, like exaggerated like features in the eyes, especially. But because they want to make it look like real animals talking, like Babe.
No one wants to see a real crab singing.
And a bird.
No one wants to. Yeah, and the gender swap on Scuttle, I genuinely don't understand. Like, Scuttle is the dumbest character in the original movie, and you swap that out with a woman?
Well, they'll probably make her the smartest character now.
No, they won't. Chances are she's still gonna.
But like, also just like Javier Bardem, like he's great, but as what's her name's dad? I don't know.
I'm not even convinced that was him. Like his head looked like it was digitally inserted onto the body.
And honestly, the little actress,
I saw this and I didn't even realize that this was happening. I just sort of ignored it and went to my beer.
Well, it's just
everyone was complaining about like Harrison Ford's head being like digitally inserted in Indiana Jones. That's nothing. That is nothing compared to Javier Bardem's King Triton cosplay
genuine consensus is that the special effects look bad in the Little Mermaid remake, but just like they did in some of these other Disney movies, like remakes. Oh yeah, that was atrocious. I had a whole rant about the last 5 minutes of that movie. Like,
I was watching a VHS yesterday. I was watching the Muppet movie, and now it's owned by Disney Fox. But I was watching this terrifying commercial that made The Little Mermaid look good. The Nuttiest Nutcracker. Has anyone seen the trailer for that?
God,
the animation looks like I'm going to die in my sleep. It's horrible.
It's like early 3D animation, right?
Yeah.
It was like 10 years past early 3D animation.
Oh, so it's like after Toy Story, but it looks like it was before Toy Story. Is that what you're trying to say?
Exactly. Like, it was straight to video. It deserved a lot worse than that. But yeah, Josh, I just remember Cheech Marin being like one of the
and Phyllis Diller.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about the live action remakes is they say they're live action remakes when in fact they're just like heavily computer animated Pixar looking crap plus like a person superimposed in the frame, and they call that live action. It's like, no.
Yeah, and the cheap shot recreations of like Ariel swimming to the ocean and her reflection hitting her when she whips her hair as she comes out with her legs. And not to mention, like, when they reveal her legs on land for the first time, it is even weirder. It is even more sexual than the cartoon, which I did not think was possible.
Tyler, can we get that song "I Whip My Hair Back and Forth" with a meme of the Little Mermaid coming out of the water?
No, it deserves far worse than that.
Yeah,
you know what? No joke, Josh. I was actually going to stitch together
anything against the little girl. I mean, she's like looking. There's nothing wrong with like a Mediterranean looking mermaid, with darker skin. There's nothing wrong with the way she looks. I mean, she even looks kind of fish-like with her eyes like kind of spaced out, kind of far apart. She looks like a mermaid. So that's fine casting. But it's just like no one cares about a fucking live action Little Mermaid. That's the root problem with these movies. No one gives a shit.
The biggest problem is make an original movie. That's what people want to see.
Well, that's the thing is like there are children who probably that's the thing though. It's like these animated movies, Lilo and Stitch, the original Pinocchio, like they are timeless. They never age. They're always the same because they're animated. And when you make these live action computer animated movies, they age terribly quickly. I remember one of my Facebook streams. I used to do a show on Facebook during the quarantine and get a lot of people in here. But when the Aladdin remake came out, I did like I was using stills of the movie and I compared the first 15 minutes of the live action to the first 15 minutes of the cartoon. And it's just so superior in pacing, in terms of introducing the characters, in terms of like the editing and the style and the pace. And so much better. So much better.
Animation is just so much better. Like 2D animation specifically, even at its worst, it'll look better than bad CG. It'll look better than live action special effects, period. Like I rewatched my review of Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron, and I remember talking about how hard it is to animate a horse because the anatomy, it doesn't really come out in live action because their eyes are on the side of their head. They have black scleras. And in the movie, like they put their eyes forward and gave them like human-like eyes. Like you have to cheat in order to give a horse emotions. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, that's the beauty of animation. Like you can change the laws of physics, you can change reality, and you wouldn't even fucking notice.
Yeah. I mean,
also the thing about general animation is if you do animation right, like you said, it's timeless. It's very well done, but live action ages poorly for most things. Like when we look at The Lion King in 10 years, no one's going to care. No one's going to care about this because they'd rather go watch the 1991 or 93.
Well, here's the thing, like the technology will be praised, but they'll say that it's a better experiment than it is a movie because that's the problem with the Lion King remake.
You got to learn from your failures too. So it's valuable that the Lion King and these live action movies are happening because we're learning like, hey, these movies are soulless.
Problem.
They have no soul and the audience can tell and the fucking people making it know.
Yeah, but here's the problem, and tying that into the popularity of Velma, if you will. Nobody liked the Lion King remake. Nobody liked Velma, but because people watched it out of curiosity, it was still considered a success. Well, lucky you for not doing that. I was a sucker.
I pirated it.
I haven't given Disney a fucking cent since.
Well,
Avengers Endgame.
As you can see, I'm still kind of a sucker for it. In fact, two of these characters behind me, you can't see them. I have them tattooed onto my arm, but mostly because they remind me so much of like old-fashioned Disney, super optimistic, tons of imagination, beautiful animation, characters that actually are flawed and have to learn something over the course of their journey. In fact, that's, in my opinion, what makes them such great characters. And they're both women too. Like I have Disney women that are strong, they're empowered, they're independent, but they're not superheroes. They're not invincible. They're not so stoic that they're beyond boring. Like they're legitimately interesting and likable.
Disney can suck a cock until they apologize to Gina Carano. All right.
You know what I'm excited about?
That's assuming that'll ever happen.
I'm excited to watch The New Little Mermaid, but not pay for it. And when I do watch it, I'm excited to watch The Little Mermaid do a full and female empowerment song and then go back and say, oh, men will like me if I don't speak.
Okay,
so I mean, I don't think. I mean, they probably won't change the movie too. They don't change the movies too much, which is like why it's more infuriating the changes they do.
Well, problem is Lin-Manuel Miranda, who is the producer for this, and named his oldest son after Sebastian. So this is just adding on to how insulting it is. Well, he flat out said that he and Alan Menken are writing 4 new songs, even though
I don't like his music. I don't understand. Like he's the one who did Frozen, right?
Which
I Frozen and shit, right? Is that what he did?
No. Encanto, Hamilton, Moana.
Mary Poppins Returns, Tyler's favorite movie.
Hang on.
I remember not liking. I could talk about Encanto for a bit, but go on.
Even though while he was doing an interview for Mary Poppins Returns, which is one of my favorite Disney movies, period, like not just the last 10 years, even though that is absolutely true, period, dude flat out said because they were still in pre-production at that point, they hadn't even cast Halle Bailey yet. He's just like, well, we're still going through the story phase, and if there's a point in which we feel that there'll be a need for a new song, then we'll add it, and if not, he'll just go because we don't have to, because that score is perfect. And I just sat there and I went, you literally just said that Howard Ashman, may he rest in peace, and Alan Menken's original score was perfect.
Yeah.
That original score saved Disney animation forever.
Well,
and you're fucking with it either way.
Well, it's just like Lion King adding that random Beyonce song. That song felt so out of place and just not as good as the Elton John stuff,
Which reminds me, Beyonce's remake of The Lion King, Black is King, was a far better remake than Jon Favreau's, which is really unfortunate.
I remember making a funny ass post on the ad for that where it got 1,000 fucking laugh reacts where I said, I was like, Jack Black must be really honored that Beyonce holds him in such regard.
So do you think that if they made a live action version of The Little Mermaid 2, people would be cool with it because no one likes The Little Mermaid 2?
See, like I said, I wasn't really big into Little Mermaid. That was definitely more of like a chick girl movie. I liked Lion King and fucking, Rescuers and stuff like that. I like the 101 Dalmatians remake. That was a good live action remake.
Yeah, but that did something different. Though.
There was soul. There was a soul. There was a drive. There was a creative want to make that movie.
Yeah, John Hughes actually gave it shit.
Someone's pointing at Rob Marshall and be like, hey, you need to make a Little Mermaid. And then someone over here, you need to remake, Jon Favreau, you do Lion King.
I don't even know who's directing Little Mermaid movie.
It's Rob Marshall, the director of Mary Poppins Returns, which just makes it so much more frustrating for me because with Mary Poppins Returns, there were real sets, there were real practical effects, there was actual 2D animation, there were brand new songs from Mark Shaman and Scott Whitman, who are super talented songwriters. You would think Lin-Manuel would chip into the songwriting, but he was just a Dick Van Dyke substitute and a good Dick Van Dyke substitute too.
Yeah,
it did the Force Awakens thing with Mary Poppins, but because so many other Disney movies and remakes before it don't have that sense of imagination and childhood wonder, they fail. Whereas this one, it actually respected the original while also adding on to it.
Soft reboot / sequel kind. You mean when you say Force Awakens?
More or less, yeah.
Okay. Requel.
Yeah, a requel. There you go. Yeah,
what I'm most worried about this movie is Melissa McCarthy. I can't stand that woman.
She looks great as Ursula, though, and everyone hates her. So
I saw Tammy. I watched Thunder Force. I have been tortured by this woman and her husband trying to make movies. Please stop making movies, Ben Falcone. Go produce something, but don't write it. And
the only Melissa McCarthy. I mean, the only Melissa McCarthy movies that I like are, she's fun. Bridesmaids was good, but also I liked, I did like Spy because I thought it was going to be trash.
Spy was really funny.
But Spy was funny. Jason Statham fucking was amazing in that film.
It worked because Melissa McCarthy is a great ensemble character. She is not a lead material any day. When you put her with Jason Statham, or you put her with Sandra Bullock as a co-lead, I can respect that.
But yeah, Melissa McCarthy playing Ursula, like a big female villain. That she looks the part. She looks the part. She could do it. I'm sure she'll be fine. But as far as like back to what we're saying,
Are you
like,
kidding me? We're
Jason...
We're not going to be allowed to say anything, or we're going to be fat phobic. That's how it's going to fucking go down.
Well,
okay, that's not the problem.
I'm just glad that they chose a fat actress, But I mean, Melissa McCarthy has lost weight. It'd be funny if they digitally like made her fatter, after she lost weight. I
gotta be honest. That like live on stage Little Mermaid, where the girl who played Moana was Ariel and Queen Latifah was Ursula, like that was a more convincing remake.
Well, like I said, it's like, yeah, Melissa McCarthy, fine. But who cares? That's the general problem. Like, who cares? They're remaking, But back to what we were saying about Jason Statham, real quick. I remember I don't know if you guys watched my Sidekicks Hitman We Watch video, but there was a joke randomly I put in where we were joking about like they should do like a slasher film, like Jason, like a new Jason movie, but instead of Jason versus a bunch of helpless teenagers, he should be versus like a Jason Statham type assassin who's like, why won't you die? Like that's the whole movie.
Here's a pitch. Expendables 4 is coming out. I want all the action heroes, including Jason Statham, to take on all the big horror heroes from like
one of them.
Just all of them, and just Stallone beating the crap
out of
assassins.
Like the Halloween
guy.
Of assassins are being recruited to a small lake in the middle of the fucking United States, and it's like, oh man, I haven't worked stateside in 10 years. We're always working in crazy third world countries. It's like, yeah, there's a fucking crazy dude in a hockey mask like running around the woods. Your job is to kill him.
Yeah,
like. Crazy hobo with a machete.
Just make it a Predator ripoff and put Jason Statham.
But then, like, they keep shooting him, and he just like walks bullets off, and they're like, "What the fuck?" Like he starts like hacking him down with machetes.
You know what? He's a mechanic. He'll find a pool to drown him in, and then pull him off a roof. He's got this.
You got the Jason Statham type character, like calling the operator. You lied to us. Why did you tell us?
Okay.
What if not human?
What if it's only every character is played by Jason Statham on his team, and there's like 6 twin brothers?
They're all. It's like the Nutty Professor. He's in elaborate makeup with accents and shit, really showing off.
I was gonna say Michael Keaton and Multiplicity.
Oh, dude, I was gonna say back to Multiplicity. Like, yeah, this movie, Infinity Pool, is basically The Purge with a little dash of Hostel plus equal with like Multiplicity. Like, it's like The Purge with Multiplicity is what's going on here. It's fucking weird. But yeah, like I said, I took a big nap, found out about the Oscars, then I watched some shit here on Discord, and then watched Cronenberg, the Brandon Cronenberg movie Infinity Pool in the middle of the morning. And yeah, I was really weirded out. I was appreciative of a good sex scene. We haven't seen a good sex scene, a memorable sex scene.
The
most memorable sex scene in recent memory. So if you are watching this, watch Infinity Pool just for that one scene. Jesus, even if you like it or hate it, that scene's awesome.
There are plenty of scenes to watch. May have been better if I were not sober, especially during that sex scene, because
no, I was
driving. You could have done whatever you wanted.
Yeah, but I didn't take my edibles with me, so
jeez. So you watched that in a car?
No, we went to the theater.
I got you.
One night only.
Yeah.
You found the show, Tyler, and you told me about it.
It wasn't a one night only thing.
Tyler
it
was
that
always
way because, like, after a couple weeks, it disappeared, and then for the Princess, where Josh off and on works, it was going on for like a week and a bit. Although they didn't really do a good job at like advertising it.
Yeah, but
like,
before we dive into the Cronenberg stuff, because one last aside with the Oscars, we are going to be on Let's Cock Contact tomorrow, 7:30. We're going to all dive into the Oscars, so check that out. But yes, back to this. Let's start talking about the Cronenbergs, the fucking Infinity Pool. Continue. I'm sorry, watching it in theaters.
I was going to say, I remember there being a lot more hype during the pandemic for Cronenberg's last movie, Possessor, because like I rode on the bus for like an hour just to get to the closest theater that was playing it, which ironically was the exact theater that Josh and I went to see Infinity Pool, because they're willing to take a little bit more chances with that particular theater. And the fact that it said uncut and no other theater was playing the R-rated version, so that just felt like a novelty. And apparently,
that was a gimmick, Tyler. That's a gimmick.
Yeah, because the uncut apparently only has like a 5-minute difference, so I can't really figure out what they cut down.
That's usually the case with most of these like directors and rated are horror movies. You know, there's like a few seconds of extra gore.
Well, not really. There are some exceptions to the rule. So when Hereditary came out, that was the regular version. But then there's an extra half an hour of Midsommar from Ari Aster. So there is a longer version of that one, and it's in black and white, and it's artistic, and there's like half an hour more of footage. But that's the only one I can really think. Yeah, there's a black and white artistic version. It came out to theaters only for like a week.
Shit.
This is like an unpopular opinion, but like with horror movies, the unrated version's obviously superior. But for the most cases, when it's like the director's cuts, I think I can only think of 3 of those where it's like the director's cut is genuinely better.
Kingdom
Most
of Heaven.
The big one is Blade Runner, obviously. But like, you know, there's like the Legend director's cut sucks my balls. I hate it. The Tom Cruise one, you got to watch the theatrical cut with the Tangerine Dream, where you see the devil at the very beginning in the fucking black light, where he's all blue and he's got green eyes and he's just this silhouette.
I got the director's cut, not to worry.
No, yeah, I'm talking about
Laserdisc.
That's great, dude. Laserdisc. Yeah, that's what I was saying about you guys. You seem to be you're Tyler's movie theater buddy.
Oh yeah, we also do the Josh and Tyler show.
Yeah, he was talking together. So, yeah, I see. So I've heard a great deal about you. But I remember last time, me and Tyler were on a stream, he was like talking about how much he goes to the movies. I was like, Jesus Christ, you're like single-handedly keeping your theater alive, man. You guys, because I kind of like most people, it's like
dude, no joke.
I got a badass big TV and a fucking awesome sound.
Okay, I have a 60-inch TV too, but you cannot get the same experience through sound. Some movies are better in theaters. It's just honest.
Of course.
Just the way it is.
I love the theater. I love the theater, but most of the movies that interest me, I feel like not worthy of theater. Like obviously,
like we saw 65, and I don't think I'd want to watch that on a big screen. I don't think it would have the same impact. I don't think Avatar would have the same impact, regardless of what I think of James Cameron's later work. It wouldn't have the same impact.
I heard.
I am the one who loves it. Tyler thinks it is okay. I think it's the best movie I've seen this year. I love it. It's the best Jurassic Park dinosaur movie I've seen in a long time.
I'll agree.
Well, I like how you guys have the Siskel and Ebert vibe, where one of you loves it, one of you hates it.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of.
Which one of you is more snotty? Yeah. Which one of you is more stingy with the movie reviews? Like
that kind of goes back and forth because we both have. We both like artsy stuff. We both like mainstream blockbusters, but it's constantly shifting. Mm-hmm. I will say that Josh is much bigger into like the 80s blockbusters that you and Russell and everybody at On Tap are really big into, but like I was never raised on those. So like I kind of came into them a little bit too late. And the generic disposable action movies that I like nowadays, like John Wick and such, they all came like long after into my adulthood. But
right.
I mean, I'm probably less stingy, Tyler, because I will sit around and talk about how much I love terrible, campy horror movies.
I was going to say,
Motel Hell, my ancient movies, my 50s movies. I love pretty much every genre from 1916 upwards. So
my grading scale for movies is like 3 stars positive, then 1 star, and then 3 stars negative. So if I give it like 3 stars negative, that means it was shitty, but I loved it. But like 1 star is the worst because it means it's forgettable, it's bland, I don't really care. But if it's like awful and like memorable and entertaining, I had a blast watching it. Fucking 3 negative stars, 3 red stars.
That's Rocky Horror. That's The Room. That's Sleepaway Camp. That's a lot of these. That's Turbo Man. Turbo Mansion Ultra.
Camp.
Yes. Do I need to go grab my VHS of it to show how much I love it?
The ending of it is so shocking and creepy and traumatizing and weird.
Super strange movie.
Because I watched so many horror movies growing up as a kid, and that was one where I watched the ending of that. I was like, God damn.
I made Tyler sit through it. I made Tyler sit through this movie. You can watch this episode of Tyler reacting to the film.
Hell yeah.
There were plenty of those because you did Sleepaway Camp. You made me do Reanimator.
Reanimator's great. That's a great
Reanimator
movie.
trilogy rules, man.
Yeah. I mean, the first one's the best, but the other 2 are very enjoyable. And then we did not get through My Demon Lover because we couldn't do it.
No.
It was.
See, I grew up watching.
There's some
someone recommended My Demon Lover.
It is so bad. No,
80s movie?
Yeah, it's an 80s movie, and this guy is like, I don't know, he's a vampire or something, but he wants to fall in love.
If you guys want to do a We Watch after this, like tonight or tomorrow.
No, we're not going to put Tyler through that. But there's a particular scene, and I'll keep it short, where this guy pops out of a bush, steals this woman's sandwich, and then says, "What? This is vegan?" and then throws it on the ground, and then continues to get her dress covered in sauce from the sandwich, complaining that the sandwich was vegan, and then asks for her number, and then she says, "Yes, you can come live with me."
Wow, weird.
That's this movie.
God. Well, we watched what was it? Just One of the Guys, and yeah, the 80s like logistic of that one is so bizarre because she like just drops out of her old school to fake a new school and write a paper undercover as a boy. But it's like, yeah, you wrote a great paper, but you're expelled. You missed like 2 weeks of school without saying anything. Like, you think that's allowed? You're not graduating. Sorry. Like, anyway, logistics.
I mean, have you seen She's the Man? It's boring.
Yeah. Would you want a man?
As most 2000s teen movies were, but yeah.
There are some good ones, but they're very few and far between.
Pretty much.
Shit. Oh dang, hang on. I think we got a post approved. Finally, Jesus. I gotta put this link in here.
Oh, we are live.
Oh,
right?
no,
yeah, we've been live.
He's talking about like sharing this stuff on Facebook and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I was like gonna share it on this page.
That's the thing, Josh, with this collective that I invited you on Facebook to join, by the way. Like,
I did? Oh, I'll define
No, I invited it to you, but our administrator is a huge stickler for having to like advertise each other's content, and I mean rightly so. If you're gonna participate, you might as well chip in a little bit.
I mean, the thing is, it doesn't really hurt. I just put it in there. I mean, I don't know. I'm not seeing a ton of traction on the page just yet, but it's like whatever. It's like rinse and repeat type thing. Definitely seeing growth on this personal channel though. Just streaming all the time. And I'm gonna start posting more shorts. I got to repost my first time I ever went live on Facebook. It was almost 5 years ago. I think I'll wait till June, but that'll be the 5-year anniversary of my famous double yolk video. I had like a dozen eggs and like 9 out of the dozen were fucking double yolk eggs. And I opened the last 5 on camera and every single one of them was a double yolk. I was like, this is fucking crazy. I was like, I started the camera. I was like, you guys got to see this. All right. I'm about to open up my fucking 6th egg or whatever. And I have a feeling it's another double egg. And I started just cracking them all open. I was like, Jesus, what the hell? I'm like flipping it out.
That's
dude.
great.
Dude, I was a breakfast cook for 3 years. I would kill for that to happen.
Dude, I was like, who was this chicken? We gotta find this chicken. Don't kill that chicken.
That's a great chicken. It probably has like superpowers or something. Exposed to uranium. Super chicken is coming to double yolk you soon.
So yeah, anyway.
What was that chicken god from Jimmy Neutron? Poltra.
Oh my goodness, I haven't thought about that in
Jimmy
years.
Neutron. I was like a Ren and Stimpy kid, you know.
I remember Ren and Stimpy.
I was like, well, I'm like 37, you know. I was watching
you're not
Pete.
that old.
I was watching Pete and Pete, and yeah, but it's like saying just a couple years difference, like between me and my brother.
No,
we're watching. He was watching Hey Arnold and shit like that. It's
amazing, like how many people in this generation, like if I talk to this generation, they don't know who Lonely Island is simply because of the cultural relevance. It's just not in there. They're like, oh, I know Andy Samberg.
Yeah, most people say Samberg. If you say, do you know Dick in a Box? Most people know that.
No, not really.
Really?
Like these 20-somethings I'm talking to, they don't know it these days.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm working with.
But I would say, like, when you say the Lonely Island, like a lot of people probably don't know that's their band name. But that pop star movie, Never Stopping.
Goodness, yes.
It's so fucking stupid.
It is the best. I saw that twice in theaters. We talked about this. It's 30 Seconds to Mars.
Oh God, dude. Yeah. Anyway, back to what were we talking? We've been doing.
We were talking about Infinity Pool, right, Tyler?
Yeah, we're trying.
There's a theme to this episode, right?
Well, I also want to just talk about because it's one of those movies where as soon as over, I was like, the goddamn Cronenbergs. What's up with those dudes? You know, why are they all obsessed with the flesh and body horror?
The fact that Cronenberg had a son who is equally fucked up, that is just amazing.
I assume his son is a fan of his father, first and foremost, right? And secondly, I assume his father gives him creative input and tells him kind of what's his reasoning behind his madness, and like his son would understand, you know, but...
Which is weird, because like most father-son filmmakers are not like that.
Yeah. Well, back to... Possessor.
Oh,
sorry. I was like, back to Possessor. I hadn't seen Possessor until like last year or the year before, and it was one of those movies I'd heard a lot about, and it had a badass poster. It looked crazy, and Cronenberg's son. I never saw Antiviral, his first movie.
Neither have I.
I probably want to check it out now though, because it's like Possessor was awesome, and I don't remember much about it except like crazy hitman shit. I remember a bunch of it, but I need to revisit it. But
okay, I looked here and I went to look up Brandon Cronenberg to see what he looks like. He looks like Borat if he's shaved.
Does he have his father's like crazy like
razor
head hair?
Just look him up on IMDb. It's fantastic.
Right now.
Here, I'll look it up. Let's see here.
Yeah, Brandon. He looks like.
Oh, holy hell!
He looks like Borat,
so
right?
True.
Yeah.
Like brunette as opposed to black hair and a bit of a buzz cut, but okay, no. Here's
yeah, he just got a weird elf face.
No. He's the love child of Borat and Dear Evan Hansen.
Oh, he looks like a potato got a piercing.
He probably looks more like his mother now that I'm looking at the two of them side by side.
Now I got to look up what the mother looks like.
Well, who's his mother? Because I don't know.
I don't want to know. But yeah. Good for him, though. His dad is a cool motherfucker, dude. Like, dude, what's the movie? Nightbreed.
Are we sure that he's David Cronenberg's son, not Sam Rockwell's?
Positive. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Okay, no, the mother looks completely normal. It's all from the father.
Weird recessive genes. He got all of them. That I see why he's so weird now, because he's a weird looking dude. It's the thing. If he was super handsome and he looked like fucking Henry Cavill or something, he'd probably be less weird. He'd probably be making more like normal movies. Let's be real. Cronenberg also seemed like a weird nerd dude. But his acting is great. I love David Cronenberg. He has a cameo in The Fly where he's like the dude delivering the big maggot baby.
It's funny you should mention that. One of the last movies we saw before theaters closed the first time, there's this really good Canadian detective thriller called Disappearance at Clifton Hill. And Cronenberg, you know how in every detective movie, there's that sidekick who gives you the evidence, but is also really cynical about you getting anywhere? That's Cronenberg in the movie. He's basically this conspiracy theorist.
Mr. X from the JFK
He has a
movie.
podcast and metal detects.
Exactly.
Nice.
That's the level of weird that he is, and he brings a little bit of levity because it's a super dark neo-noir, but really good story, super great performances. In fact,
super underrated. Go watch that movie. It's
in fact, the girl from Disappearance at Clifton Hill is actually in Possessor as one of the side characters.
Oh.
Tuppence Middleton, who was in Mank and a couple other things.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm looking at all of David Cronenberg's movies and list of tomato meter ranked by tomato meter, and I realize I haven't seen a lot of them. He's got 22 movies. M Butterfly 1993, his most reserved and toned down movie, handled with most restraint. Jeremy Irons, John Lone, never saw this.
That's the one where they're brothers, right?
No. That's Dead Ringers. That one kicks ass. We'll get into that. I'm gonna go in tomato meter, but yeah, apparently M Butterfly is I guess I'll just share the fucking screen. What am I doing?
Yeah, you can do that. We can't.
Yeah. Well, you can do it too. If you click share screen, I can click the button. But yeah, it doesn't matter. So we got M Butterfly. Never saw this one. A diplomat from France who is sent to Beijing. Oh, while acclimating. Okay, life. Okay, it's like a romance movie. And Butterfly. It's a play. I've heard of the title. Crimes of the Future, the short film. I didn't see the new one either.
Don't waste your time.
I enjoyed elements of it. I think there was some good body horror, but I think it was a little inconsistent in the story.
My buddy Ben is obsessed with Cronenberg too, and I was hoping he'd be checking this out at least after the fact. But he was saying he was super. We were both excited about Crimes of the Future, and he was one of the first dudes to see it, and he immediately reported back I was very disappointed. I was like, oh. So stereo.
No joke. My eyes were trying to close on their own. That's how bored I was. And that never happens.
Well, this seems like a movie you could remake. Stereo, 1969. Scientists perform surgery which allows humans to communicate through telepathy. So that looks cool. I haven't seen it. Map to the Stars. Haven't seen it.
It's
Julian
okay.
Marr.
It's all
Mia
right.
Wasikowski.
Josh, is it true that there's literally an entire conversation where actors literally talk about shit?
Yeah.
Literal shit?
Feces?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's an okay song. We that was one of the first that we played it at the Princess one. I saw it.
Maps to the Stars. Jesus. Well,
and
back to Showgirls. I remember Showgirls getting a lot of seldom burn. Someone talking. It was a weird as fuck, and the ending kind of just happened, but still scratched the Cronenberg itch. And I love the weird body horror elements.
Is Seldom talking about Infinity Pool or something else?
I don't know. Seldom, I'm sorry.
Maybe Crimes of the Future.
There's always a 10-second lag. He could be talking about Maps of the Stars or Stereo. Anyway.
I've seen Crash. Crash is decent. It's weird.
This was the first NC-17 movie I ever saw. Before Showgirls, I saw Crash, and I was very weirded out by it because I was a kid.
It's weird, yeah.
Then I rewatched it recently, and it's still super weird. Oh, this is Ben, by the way. Oh, hell yeah. Crimes. Hey, Crimes of the Future. Okay.
Okay.
So he's talking about it was weird as fuck. The ending kind of just happened, but it still scratched the Cronenberg itch.
Nice.
That's kind of a normal thing with Cronenberg movies, that the endings just feel very abrupt.
Oh yeah. But sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. Cosmopolis, I saw
that's a solid one. I enjoyed that one when it came out.
Naked Lunch. I fucking love Naked Lunch.
That's one I haven't seen. I gotta check it out.
Dude,
a friend of mine from high school made me sit through that one time when I invited him over. And I mean, at the time that I saw it, it was legitimately the weirdest movie that I had ever seen. But like the themes like you can see coming a mile away about sexual repression and denial, which a common thread for father and son, weirdly enough. And if you've seen Possessor, you know what I'm talking about. But I thought Peter Weller maybe it was Cronenberg directing him, but I didn't feel like Peter Weller was even trying. Like he was just so emotionless.
Again, it's based on William S. Burroughs, crazy famous heroin addict writer's book. Crash is Pete Cronenberg for me. I love Crash. That's so weird. But with Naked Lunch, it's like I just always think of like the Simpsons gag where Bart gets the fake ID and him and Nelson and Milhouse and the nerd Martin Prince, they're running around with his fake ID, just stealing a car, and they're driving around, and then they go to a movie theater and they go see Naked Rated R movie, and they walk out of the theater and Nelson just goes, I could think of at least 2 things wrong with that title. but dude, it's such a weird movie about like, heroin and drugs and giant cockroaches and fucking just so weird. I loved it.
I do remember
to experience it.
Or Judy Davis, that's who it was.
Well, I mean,
also,
I remember
Julian Sands is still missing.
Who's Julian Sands?
What, the one actor there?
Yeah, I don't know who Julian Sands is.
Yeah, the guy from he was the guy from Arachnophobia and Warlock.
Oh, Arachnophobia. I remember that.
He was in boxing. He's the crazy scientist, the spider guy with the blonde long hair. He was in Boxing Helena. He's crazy. But he went missing. He went missing in the wilderness like a few months ago, and they still haven't found his body.
Oh.
He went like on a trail in California. Maybe he just ran away. I'd hope or think that he faked his death.
Julian Sands. Oh, okay, right. I've seen him once.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The Warlock movies. I want to watch those soon. Okay, so Scanners, the greatest head explosion scene of all time.
The rest of the movie is dull.
I do like the ending though.
The gore is great. The rest of the movie,
I like the ending with Michael Ironside and him. Their eyes all getting all white. Oh, but that's a movie you could remake. Scanners.
100%.
Fucking remake Scanners and make it good.
Oh my goodness, who would you who'd you cast in this?
I wouldn't care. You could do a totally like a loose adaptation. It's like telekinetic, new characters. Like you could race swap and gender swap these characters. They're fucking telepaths who make each other's heads explode.
I would put Idris Elba in there instead of Michael Ironside because he's good in everything. And he's just great. I mean, he even sells it in like The Dark Tower. Like he's the best part despite that movie being crap.
Dude, do it.
He sells everything he does. And a Luther movie coming out, sign me up. I love Idris
do like a requel of Scanners. I'd totally be on board with that. So
I just love the fact that exploded head, they used a shotgun to blow it up. I just love that was actually allowed.
That's badass. Actually.
Oh, I've seen that movie.
Existence,
yeah, I've seen that.
Existence is so good because it's a shame because it came out in 1999. It's about artificial reality, but it just was the thunder was totally stolen by the Matrix. And honestly, they're both like on par with each other.
Gattaca came out around that time too.
The Matrix is like way more action, popcorn, fun, adventure. Whereas Existence is like, erotic and existential dread and that classic body horror stuff with Cronenberg, like people turning their hands into guns, like living guns that are like organisms and shit.
Guns akimbo.
So weird, dude. Oh yeah, I remember that dumb movie.
I enjoyed that one. Yeah. Oh, I've seen Rabid. Oh, I've seen a lot more Cronenberg than I thought.
Yeah. Rabid is classic. Great zombies. Right after Dawn of the Dead. Crimes of the Future. Now this is the one Ben was saying just kind of ended, and you guys said it was okay.
It was it had moments.
It wasn't really my thing.
I've seen a lot worse movies, so to be honest.
The acting kind of reminded me of Yorgos Lanthimos movies where everybody just acts weird and has like one emotion, and it's not really the kind of style that I go for.
What's up, Meg?
Hello.
We're talking about the Cronenbergs.
Sounds
I've
exciting.
seen Shivers. I've seen that movie.
I saw The Brood.
Look at me.
I love The
seeing all
Brood.
these movies and not realizing who directed them.
Yeah, I mean, and when you find out, okay, so this seems like very
seen
out
that.
of Cronenberg's wheelhouse, but every other of these movies is like, okay, that makes sense
Yeah.
that that's a Cronenberg movie because they all have like similar like body horror elements, you know. But then we have this one, which looks very out of place. After his sponsor replaces him with his arch rival, a race car driver decides to steal a car and race it himself.
Dude.
Okay. Anyway.
Okay,
How you
maybe
doing,
that was
Meg?
around the time of Death Race, maybe.
What's your favorite Cronenberg movie, Meg?
I don't know.
Well, let's see if any of these. Dangerous Method. I think that would probably be up your
Haven't
alley,
seen
Meg. A provocative historical fiction about the early days of psychoanalysis with Michael Fassbender playing who? Carl Jung and
Carl Jung?
Yeah, Carl Jung, Jay.
Oh, yeah.
And then Viggo Mortensen's the other famous. Anyway, it's like they're both like sleeping with Keira Knightley. I don't know. Another erotic movie.
Videodrome. Yeah, Videodrome.
So these two rock. Videodrome is so prophetic, so ahead of its time, so still rings true. Still do not remake Videodrome.
No.
Leave Videodrome alone. It's a goddamn masterpiece. James Woods also, dude. He's so base. His fucking Twitter account is hilarious. But
yeah, it's fresh. It's so refreshing that dude just does not give a fuck.
Dude, I rewatched John Carpenter's Vampires with him, and he's
nice.
hilarious, dude.
You know, there's one James Woods performance that he does not get enough love for. Once Upon a Time in America, dude is like one of the scummiest gangsters in the history of cinema. Like, dude is just such a piece of shit. Not a romanticized gangster by any stretch of the imagination. Like, he's just fucking brutal.
Okay, so what am I missing with Dead Ringers?
mean-
You said it's one of the best. I don't
Yeah,
get
I'm
it.
looking forward.
Is
I'm
also
looking
really
forward
early.
to seeing you two go on about it.
I
because
don't get
pretty
it. I
much
mean,
watched-
my producer for my last film was living in the neighborhood when they shot it in Hamilton and Toronto area. And he said he got to be an extra in the movie. And I said, okay, I'll check it out. Then I watched it. I was like, I don't get it. What am I missing?
Yeah.
It's not bad by any means. I think
Well,
the
like I
acting's
said, it's
good,
just
but I don't get it.
It's just peak Jeremy Irons, peak David Cronenberg, and also just like, yeah, it's like one of those confusing, weird ass movies, but it definitely does what it's supposed to with like making you feel like fucking sick at the end of it and shit. I don't know. It's so weird. And that's one of those movies I need to revisit too, because it's like I just remember like graphic scenes of like people cutting out chunks of organs and shit, and just like, oh, what the hell? But as far as Videodrome, it's like, in case Meg doesn't know, you should watch that one. Crazy.
Add it to the list.
All right. But yeah, Dead Ringers, man. It's like just like Jeremy Irons playing two crazy surgeons that are twins, and they're just like, I don't know. It's just freaky. And it's just original. It's like fresh. I don't know. I like fresh movies that are like, remake that one. I haven't seen Spider. And in fact, I didn't even know this was a Cronenberg movie.
I'd like to, just judging by the
Ray
synopsis
Fiennes.
and the fact that it is Ray Fiennes. Because
Yeah,
I mean,
The reviews are good. Everyone
dude plays evil characters, but you never really see him play psychotic but still sympathetic.
Yeah, well, he
At
was
least not with like unless you count The Menu as fitting that.
The Menu was
example.
fantastic. Should have got an Oscar nom.
I thought The Menu was good, despite the fact that I felt Mary Sue vibes from the main character. She felt like she wasn't like a useless character or anything, but it's just like her job was to explain the metaphors to the audience, like pretty heavy-handedly.
Well, I
True,
mean, that's
but,
what
like,
you get with a
having-
big ensemble cast any day.
But despite that, I still enjoyed it, despite the fact that she's fits all the definitions of a Mary Sue. It was like,
I will
was
say
tolerable.
though, I will say like working alongside other cooks, I definitely have heard conversations like hers before. So, and she is.
don't want it.
Well, yeah, there's that about it. I mean, the disdain for your customers was portrayed way too accurately for my taste, but
Yeah, I mean, I'd imagine.
I mean,
Like,
Hog Chow's character reminded me of one of my best friends at work who
That was
I
the
would-
maitre d' lady.
yes.
I mean, Tyler, how mad do you get when someone comes in like 2 minutes to closing? When I worked at Crossroads, I was pissed. It was like, go home,
You get
go
your food
home.
spit in.
I wouldn't be so upset if my managers just didn't tell them to fuck off. I mean, honestly, like I have been there for 10 hours making pizzas. I close the ovens, which are wood fire ovens, which take a million years to light back up again. And you're asking, and I packed everything up. You don't ask me beforehand. Oh God, it's a really good thing my coworkers don't watch these live streams.
You know, try a buffet where you have to keep a little bit of every food hot in case the customer wants one of 30 different options when they come in 2 minutes late.
But wouldn't you would get your food spit in, right? People do spit in their food.
Oh,
right?
hell yeah.
Yeah.
Like yeah, you would in the kitchen. Not me, but other people would have.
I mean,
Not
I
me. What
guys
a lie.
back at work the other day. Do I win?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, cosmetic stuff, I can't compete. But customer service in general, working in giant kitchens or giant restaurants, it's annoying. And yeah, coming in 10 minutes to close, it's like, I don't want to get my food spit in. That's why we're not going. Yeah. Weird, man. Anyway, I think this next one is probably top 3.
Oh, that's a great film.
I love History of Violence. And this is one of those movies where like the sudden abrupt ending is so great. He just goes off and kills everybody and fucking officially like severs all ties with his past life and comes home to dinner. And that's the end of the movie.
Yeah, but this movie has such a perfect setting. The setting is a character in this film. The way you see this small town, the way he interacts with it, the way they color grade it, the way it changes with his movement. It is flawless filmmaking from Cronenberg.
Also,
this may be
when he
my
goes
favorite.
to the city too, all that stuff's great. And like William Hurt getting a fucking Oscar nod for like the 11 minutes of screen time he has or whatever.
I was gonna say, like, it really goes to show how one scene can make a difference. Like back when Moonlight got nominated, and I'm not a fan of Moonlight, but I am a big defender of Mahershala Ali in that performance. And my mom's just like, well, he was only in the one scene. That doesn't count. And I'm just going, well, it's not how long you're in the movie. It's what you fucking do with it. Because I mean, Anthony Hopkins is in Silence of the Lambs for about as much as Mahershala is in Moonlight.
Also, Heath Ledger, the Joker. His screen time is very minimal.
It doesn't seem like it.
Yeah, because he steals the whole show. That's the thing. Hannibal Lecter, he steals the show.
And also, The Dark Knight is longer than the other movies we just mentioned. So,
right. But they all have like about like 10 minutes of screen time or less. Like,
did History of Violence win any Oscars at all?
No, I'm sure it was
nominated. I think William Hurt was the only one that got nominated.
Yeah, got nominated. It was such a great movie though, and like the little son. Also, like after the Passion of the Christ, I remember seeing the Passion of the Christ, thinking like, dude, computer animated violence. That's going to be like the new thing. And yeah, this History of Violence was like, there's like the R-rated version and the unrated version, which is like, this is one of those director's cuts where it's like every fucking kill scene is like more graphic. Like there's a part where he like steps on the dude's neck. And in the R-rated version, it's like steps on his neck. In the unrated version, like blood shoots out of his mouth and shit. It's fucking gross.
Did not watch that version.
I gotta find the unrated version then.
Yeah, check it out. But yeah, that's one of my favorites. And then Eastern Promises. That's
good film.
These two together. This is the fucking the 21st century Cronenberg double feature right here.
They do go well together the more I think about it.
Also, the fact that these movies are totally grounded in reality. They don't have crazy fucking, people turning into cars or whatever the fuck. People turning into guns. And
you saw Titan too.
Yeah, Titan. Yeah. Fuck.
Great film. Let's go fuck a fire truck.
I wouldn't call it great. I definitely would call it memorable.
Oh, I bought it on Blu-ray. That's how much I love it.
I did like all the special effects in that movie, and I know Seldom liked it a lot too. But yeah, that was one of those movies where it was just like French. That's how I describe it. Very French, very French movie, for lack of a better word.
100%.
But yeah, Eastern Promises, like whenever I talk about Eastern Promises, whenever I reference Eastern Promises, I'm talking about the naked shower fight scene.
Oh,
best part.
Anytime I say like, let's go at it, Eastern Promises style, that means us naked with knives fighting in a shower. That's what I mean when I say
that's
Eastern
what
Promises.
You meant when you said that.
Yeah, let's go Eastern Promises style. Right. But yeah, that's a great movie too about like Russian mafia dudes and Viggo Mortensen's like classic like that fucking scene where he like does the threat to the uncle. That's like, that's like one of Viggo's like best like 2 seconds on screen.
I'm surprised Viggo got nominated for this. Like I wouldn't have thought the Academy would have it in them, but
I liked how I liked his performance more in History of Violence though, because like his transformation, like when he's like, yeah, I'm Joey Cusack, and he just becomes like a totally different guy. He's very like blasé about everything.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing about his Cronenberg collaborations, because he's done counting this and Dangerous Method and Crimes of the Future, he's done quite a few. The more I think about it, and when Vigo directed his movie Falling with Lance Henriksen, he actually snuck Cronenberg in as like an Alzheimer's doctor or something like that.
Wait, Viggo Mortensen directed Falling with?
Yeah, that was
a great
him.
movie. I watched that recently. I was just mesmerized from beginning to end and didn't know how to feel. But I was
I got to watch that for 2020 TIFF back when it was like you got to see virtually movies like months beforehand. And I mean, Lance Henriksen just like was not afraid to get dirty with his performance.
Yeah, it was like that movie and The Father with Anthony Hopkins. Like those two together were so good. And Lance Henriksen, career performance right there. I love Lance.
And also,
Henriksen.
like Vigo had a style, but it wasn't super in your face. Like,
that's usually how like a lot of these actors turn directors do. They try not to get too overzealous, like George Clooney.
Well, I mean, Ryan Gosling with Lost River, he was basically just copying and pasting Nicholas Winding Refn. It was literally just like only God forgives.
What movie is this?
Lost River. It's got
look this up now.
I think it's got like one of the girls from Mad Men.
This from 2014.
The one with the giant titties.
Yes.
The one with like the face on it.
Hendricks.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, that's her.
Yay, the one with the huge boobies. And even
this has got a great poster. I'll give him that.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, like the neon lighting, the gory violence.
Wow.
A lot of visual storytelling.
Well,
like dude was clearly trying something.
If you're gonna rip off a director, you might as well rip off. Sorry, I was gonna say if you're gonna rip off someone, you might as well rip off Refn. You know, I mean, he's good.
And like the ginger girl with the scars on her face, like her and Gosling were in Drive together. So, in case that wasn't enough of an indicator,
talking about Christina Hendricks.
Yeah,
which Megan mentioned there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Christina Hendricks.
Yeah.
Okay.
So good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look this guy up.
We got to go up past Eastern Promises here of the show.
Right. Hey, we're taking our time here. These streams, they go on. The Dead Zone, motherfuck, dude. I love this movie. This probably would be my second favorite. I think I agree with this list, like top 5. No, I'd swap these two. But fucking the Dead Zone.
Maybe because I was too young to get into it, but like something about it just didn't click with me with the Dead Zone. Although something tells me if I were to rewatch it now, I would probably understand it a hell of a lot better.
Good. Dude, honestly, I'm not recognizing the Silverman guy. Like he's apparently in a bunch of the I mean, that's him in what is this? Is this Scanners?
Dude's got a creeper face that would fit in with a lot of Cronenberg movies. So I'll give him that.
I've never seen that guy before in my life.
I wish Ben was in here. Ben,
which reminds me, like, does anyone find it weird that the doctor in the Dead Zone is Chief Inspector Dreyfus from the Pink Panther movies? Like, I saw him, and even in high school, I'm just sitting there going, "Wait, that's the guy from Peter Sellers."
Herbert Loam.
Yeah, Herbert Loam, the German doctor.
Yes,
the one who tells him, like, I guess I would go back in time and kill Hitler.
Was Herbert Loam in that?
Yeah, Herbert Loam is the doctor that works with Walken once he comes out of the coma.
I mean, I know people don't really like, some people are like, I know Meg doesn't like Stephen King, but this is such a good, crazy story. And Christopher Walken and the harsh winter. And the reason why I like Dead Zone is it's got that Eastern story format where it's like a main character, just like, little vignettes of like other characters that he meets. And then when his journey ends, like he reflects on his life journey with all these characters and what he's learned from them. There's
and that's the thing. Like this has a really good concept about, and it does. In all fairness, it does explore the themes of like, what would you do if you saw the future? Would you actually actively try to change it if you could? And does that mean like sacrificing your own morality? Because this, like, dude's willing to get violent in order to change the future for the better. And if you were to remake this nowadays, like that could imply a hell of a lot.
Yeah. I mean, as far as like the ending with, the allegories with Martin Sheen's characters wanting to start nuclear war and stuff, that was just so... that
was kind of
each story kind of escalates, and like the final one, like how do you top that? And it's like the allegories to like current politicians and stuff. It's so great. But yeah, we got to talk about the best one. My favorite one is definitely The Fly.
Yeah,
and I'm glad
absolutely.
glad this is. Meg, when was the last time you watched The Fly with Jeff Goldblum?
Oh, it's been years for sure. You know me and old movies.
We'll
I
add
only
that
watch
to the
them
list.
when they make
It's
me
not
laugh.
old. It's from 86. An
It's a
old
Yeah,
movie
that is-
from
that's-
1916.
That's old.
Yeah, it's a 40-year-old movie. This is a
40 years, not that old in film
right.
time.
I know, but these people today, if
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not made,
it
if
kind
the
of is,
date doesn't start with a
actually.
2, then it's too old.
No, that's not true. But if it's older than me, I can call it old.
That's true. Okay,
Well,
well,
that applies to me, so I got that.
yes,
I got
The
that
Fly
part
is one of
covered.
those classic, great movies where like every horror movie where it starts out where people are popping champagne and love is in the air and things are going great, it's going to end in a fucking horrific nightmare. Like that's how these movies start. And the Fly is such a great, the smallest oversight causes the most insane, because we're talking about body horror. Like The Fly is the pinnacle. Same thing with like werewolf movies, and most of the Cronenberg stuff, where it's like your body, it's like a metaphor for cancer and disease. Like your body is doing shit you don't want it to, like dying or turning you into a giant fly monster or a killer wolf beast, against your will. And The Fly is just so disgusting because it's like, compared to the Vincent Price remake, where they just swap heads, in the new one, it's like he walks out and he's fine. He's got like superhuman strength. He's great. It's a cleanse. And then he realizes like, no, he's been changed like on a molecular level. It's like a gene splicer. His telepod is teleporting. So great, dude.
Yeah, I mean, the 80s was so great for horror remakes, specifically The Thing and The Fly, because those are definitely better than the original.
The Blob.
The Blob. That's a fun little movie, but it's so dumb. But like the remake, oh my goodness, The Thing is terrifying.
The Blob falls off around the third act, but the makeup and the death scenes are so graphic. It works, dude. It's who cares?
There's so many great 80s remakes of things. And I think this was like the prime time of horror because you had just come out from Halloween and we were getting Friday the 13th. And this was like, I think the 80s and late 70s was the best time for horror in general, until we hit like maybe late 2000s where we got some very interesting new styles. But
also, sci-fi horror. It's such a back to The Thing and The Fly. Yeah. Like, it's like so cool because it's like, those classic like 50s B sci-fi movies are always the same. They take place in like a laboratory or like some kind of confined setting, and there's one scientist who's explaining what the hell's happening to everybody, and then at the end a monster shows up and they kill it.
Which is kind of reminding me of Infinity Pool, and it's clear that Brandon Cronenberg is kind of bringing this 80s style back into the mainstream, and he's doing such a good job with that because I mean, whether you like Infinity Pool or not, you got to admit the concept and the moral struggle that these characters are going through is one that like I've never seen any other movie tackle it in that exact way before.
Yeah. Well, after we talk about The Fly, I want to talk about something real brief with Meg about this these burner people, and then we'll dive deep into Infinity Pool. But like finishing notes on like The Fly, like I think some of the most scariest scenes that like are ingrained into my memory are like A, the arm wrestling scene, and B, the part where Gina Davis has been thrown in the telepod with her like pregnant baby, and she's just screaming because she's looking at what was Jeff Goldblum, and he's like a hideous like monster. And there's a part where she screams like, "Oh God, no!" with like such conviction. It's so fucking terrifying. It's very like, this is your reaction, dude. Like you would have this genuine reaction if you saw this happen. It's one of the few movies where it captures that kind of like, imagine if situation. Imagine if your boyfriend's like fingernails started falling off and they started climbing on the walls and turned into a hideous fucking insect creature. He had to blow his brains out with a shotgun.
It's so good. That's what I have to say. Go watch the movie.
Another abrupt ending.
Yeah.
It just fucking, he dies. Like as soon as his body hits the ground, like the credits are fucking rolling, dude. It's like, dude. And, but yeah, that idea, like where he's got like a molecular cancer, he thinks, and then he realizes like, no, I'm just a brundlefly. And also that's another thing where like, when you watch it, when you're older, you realize the scariest scene in the whole movie is where she goes to she makes her ex-boyfriend take her to the abortion clinic at like 3 a.m. And the doctor's like, hey, it's 3 a.m. She's like, I need an abortion. And they're like, yeah, but it's 3 a.m. She's like, I don't care. I'll do it myself if I have to. And they're just like, okay. And they cut to the abortion room. What's up, Liquid Light?
What up?
How are you doing, man? I'm glad you made it because, you know, me and Liquid are always talking about our love of the Cronenbergs.
Yes. I can't get a lot of people to watch these damn movies.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times.
For some strange reason.
I can't tell you how many times I recommended.
I don't know, but people just aren't as into it.
I can't say. Also, just like in general, like, you know, like Meg's saying, it's old. Like I recommend Paris, Texas, like once a season.
That's a great movie.
I still need to watch that one.
Yeah, check it out. Yeah, I got Meg to watch that one. She loved it. But yeah, that's Paris, Texas is wonderful. And yeah, these Cronenberg movies, like you can understand, like I don't feel like watching the weird, fucking movie, but it's like, please do it.
I find like they're strangely approachable for me in a weird way. Like it's fun. Like for me, like if I haven't watched The Whale yet because like I know it's going to be like an emotional journey.
We watched it.
I'm going to watch it, but I got to find the right time to go on an emotional journey. Cronenberg, all I got to do is smoke a little weed and you're there. It's gonna get you there.
Well, me and Tyler are on a quest to find the weirdest, coolest movies to see in theaters because those are the best movie experiences. Seeing the weirder, the better. We saw Shin Ultraman. We saw 65. We saw Infinity Pool. If it's weird, like the best movie experience we had last year was watching Jackass. That's a weird movie.
Oh, yeah. Jackass was fucking fantastic.
See, lately...
Yeah, and, tying into the weirdness, the one horror... There are a couple horror movies that I liked more than Infinity Pool, and one of them was Skinamarink, which... Talk about a theatrical experience. Like
I love
there are so many reviews. Yeah, and I would argue that the short is technically a little bit better.
Short creeped me out.
Yeah, the short
you guys
I will forever be afraid of the dark in my house.
Staring at the Wall Simulator 2022 did not do it for me.
Yeah.
Exactly,
I really wanted to like it, and
I like the short a lot more because it was 20 minutes long and it ends with the whole like, "Mommy, I think we're in hell," basically, and that's like the end of it. It's like Jesus.
I will blame that on my own desensitization towards about everything. Like I needed a little bit more punch to keep me.
Well, Greener Grass worked better as a 20-minute short than a feature. As much as I love the feature, it's better as a short.
Yeah,
it was a short.
There was a short on YouTube first. I think it works better as a 20-minute format as opposed
you left
to...
that part out when you first...
I like the short better, I think, honestly. I revisit that one. It's pretty good.
Which I wouldn't have guessed, because like when you told me about it when it first came out, you were really like gushing
really into it. But then I saw the short and I was like, oh, that's better.
See, like with Skinamarink, I saw the short on my laptop. No one else was in the house. I turned out the lights because everybody told me it'll stick with you when you do that. And that's exactly what it did. And then when Skinamarink came out, there was that debate, like, should I see it in a theater with a bunch of people that could fuck things up, or do I wait for it to come out on Shudder? But of course, like, I couldn't wait for it. I went to the theater, and aside from one guy watching like a Biden versus Trump video on his phone, which thankfully, like, another audience member like told him, please put your phone away. After that,
wait, during Skinamarink.
Yeah,
that part I legitimately don't understand.
After the election is over.
That's one of those movies where it's like,
apparently he found that scarier, but
don't pull your phone out. You pull out your phone during some of these movies, it really detracts from it, The
good news is, like, for the most part, it did not detract. And I will say that because it is an hour and a half, you can get a little bit more ambiguous with what's going on with these kids. You can like interact with like visions or the real family dilemma. Like, you have absolutely no idea what's going on. With the short, the main reason that it works is because there's literally only two characters, and one character is technically only in it for a few seconds. But with this one, they get to play around a little bit. You get to go through more rooms. You get to play out some possible scenarios or hallucinations, or maybe they are in hell or some other dimension of sorts. Like, we technically don't know. The director flat out said there's some stuff that he knows for a fact really did happen, and some stuff that even he admits, like, he just pulled out of his ass and it just happened to be scary. Like the mom bit where they're looking under the bed and people keep disappearing. The director himself, like, has no idea what he was thinking as he was writing it. But you know what? That might have been what made it work.
Experimental DP shots. Yeah, I
mean, avant-garde, I would describe.
Director of photography. That's what that stands for. Sorry.
Yeah, I think the one thing, like, I don't even mind long drawn out shots, but like, I require some camera movement. Like, you can't just set your camera down and point it up at the wall for
that's like silent film style.
60,
that's like
70,
the old
90 seconds. because like I'm just sitting there like watching the grain on the screen, you know, like
I watched the kid with
It-
Charlie Chaplin, and that
great
you know,
film.
again,
Yeah.
60 minutes long too. So I was like, hell yeah, and it was fun because, but it's like, back then they would just set a tripod down and film it like a play, and it was
Have
really
you
until,
watched
like,
the 7.5-hour cut of Greed, the 1926 silent film? Recommend.
Is that even available?
No,
I have it, but honestly, I was blown away.
nice.
I have it on
Well,
VHS.
I gotta say, like, you know, I know
Wait,
you guys
I
like
thought-
watching terrible movies in the theater, but like watching these like old 80s like movies on Discord with my cousin and shit, it's been a blast. I'm loving it, and I'm trying to do it more often. Just get a bunch in the bank.
I can't remember what it's called, but a friend of mine on Letterboxd posted. Apparently, there's this one website that has movies that are entirely out of print, and I had it bookmarked for a while because one of the only Disney movies I haven't reviewed is that one that you're technically not allowed to see
Song of
in
the
North
South?
America. That is
Yeah.
on that website, and it actually
Sure.
works. Like,
Okay,
I
here's the
checked-
thing, Tyler. Just get a
You can
VPN
find
and
it.
say you're Europe, and you can get the movie on the
You
Disney
can
Plus
find a
over
lot of
there.
these, like, you know,
Well,
Rockula.
here's the thing. I technically don't have to say where I got the video from, and for all I know, I could
I've
blame
never-
my grandparents for it, and everybody would believe me on that.
I've never seen Song of the South, but I imagine I could find it very easily. You know,
I've seen the first 20 minutes, and like, it's not a good movie,
I
but
mean, I'm
not because of the reasons everyone's saying, more just because.
well, the problem what people have with the
fucking
movie
boring.
is it's a guy being happy, singing his little songs, being a show, walking around with a bunch of cartoon birds and stuff. But like the subtext is this guy is like a slave. So like, why the idea that they're portraying him as being happy is with a problem. You know,
Actually, I think it takes place after the Civil War. Like, people are really up in arms.
I don't
about
So
know.
then, why is Zippity Doodah on Spotify's Disney's official playlist?
Dude,
Yeah.
what
because
needs
the
the
song in itself there's nothing wrong with that song.
Dude, the
movie
Pan-
in itself, I don't think
Peter
there's
Oh, but
anything
if you're going
wrong
to
with it.
cancel everything, you have to cancel everything about the entire project.
I don't
That's
know.
how
Well,
society
Josh,
works. I'm told.
Josh, here's the thing. Like, the racist song from Peter Pan that everybody hates, that's still on Spotify.
Oh, that's true.
Like, they're very the
Well, one
owners
of the
of
things I wanted to
Spotify
talk-
are in Sweden, and the guys who run Spotify are like super pro free speech, just because they're from Eastern Europe and they're not as uptight as us.
Yeah. Well, speaking of like free speech, I had to tell like some of my friends that I have no plans to go to Flipside anymore, which is like this big Texas regional Burning Man thing they do. Because like people like Megan and some other people, like if you say anything like right of Joseph Stalin on this Facebook page, you will be fucking banned. They'll literally like swarm you like in the comments and be like, what did you mean by this? Do you want to walk this back?
I
This
just
joke you said?
advocate for violence.
Yeah.
And for that.
Something about punching turfs or some shit. You're just like, I don't think this is right. And they're like, what'd you say? We got another one, a shitbird, and they'll ban you. And then if you
Wow,
say,
we've gone
hey,
way
I
off
don't think you
track.
should be banning all these people that don't agree with us, and it's like, ban you too.
Okay,
But it's funny
whoever
because,
told you in life that everyone was going to agree with you and have the same opinion and
No, I
share your
know.
political view?
Well, it's funny. It's
no
just like
one.
well, this burner community, unfortunately, it's just like the comic book industry where I was saying this recently, where it's like, yeah, these people have like ideologues have infiltrated the powers of position, like running the Facebook admin page. And, like they start enforcing their beliefs on other people. And it's to the point where anyone who steps out of line and voices like, because that was the other thing, like the vaccine stuff. No one was allowed if you're not unvaccinated. And now they're changing that. You got to show up with a negative test or whatever. And everyone's like, oh, great. Now we can go. And it's like, no, because they're reluctantly allowing us. And they say shit like, oh, well, I guess the unvaccinated whined enough and got their
They
way.
call us
It's like, we whined enough. Motherfucker, we were right. Like, I mean, come on. Like,
They
you
call
just upsets me so much.
As
But
one of my
anyway.
best friends says, don't tell me how to live my life. Leave me the fuck
Right,
alone.
right.
You do whatever you want to
I'm
do.
not
And we're just
trying
going
to
be
ban.
in
I'm not trying to
between.
ban the vaccinated from entering. You know,
Here's the thing. Everyone hates authoritarianism until
matter where
it's
it comes from.
something until it's something you agree with.
Right,
if it's
of
something
course.
that if you had your way, you control it, you
No,
support it.
I don't support it because even when they're banning people I don't agree with, I'm still like, hey, wait a minute. I remember like during the Me Too era, a lot of people were getting written off and banned just for like alleged misconduct with people during these parties. I don't know. I'm not a fucking judge. I don't know, but I saw so many people getting dragged publicly, and I have no idea if these people are guilty or innocent or not, and I just stay out of it because it's not my fucking business. But definitely people getting involved in everyone's shit. But that's kind of something Meg wanted to talk about. And I know she's in here. We're just like nerd-or-nots being
Does Meg
fucking
have
all
a camera, or is
Cronenbergs.
it just audio? Because I can't.
She doesn't have a camera right now.
Oh, fair enough.
Unless she's discording from bed again. Are you discording from bed, right?
Yeah.
You're StreamYarding from bed, or you're in the computer, you're on the phone, or?
Yes, I'm on the phone. I'm just waiting for it to get here.
Okay.
Toast Crunch for the first time since I was a kid, and I'm gonna watch Animaniacs and eat French Toast Crunch.
French Toast Crunch. I forgot all about that shit.
Yeah, I'm not super worried about any of that. It's just that it's so textbook.
Yeah, I was like, I wanted Meg to get it here. Let's voice our. You can't ban us for saying our shit on our YouTube channel.
Well, it's like with the authoritarianism thing. It's like you can just see how smug and power hungry this.
Oh, dude, they're so gloating right now.
It's ripping off of them, and it's just like the weird little minions that do like, oh, you're so cool. It's like they're, 18 and they just heard about some place they can go in the woods where girls take their chops off, and they're all like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my whole life. But I don't know. It's all filled with people like this person that I can't. It's all turned into.
You're talking about Putz Boy. We could say his nickname. Fuck that guy. But that's the best part is he runs the thing like a total dictator, and he literally will like I said, you disagree with him, he'll say this classic like, okay, bye, and you'll just see like the person's name grayed out as they've been ejected.
So when you refer to authoritarianism, you mean people using their political power to silence others, correct?
Right. And this is like, these are admin pages of a Facebook page. And the funny thing is, like, obviously the Facebook page isn't representation of the people at the event. The fucking Facebook page has 13,000 people in it, and every post gets like 100 to 200 interactions tops. So, all these people that are like, yeah, whatever, fucking no bigots allowed. Like, most people are just like, I
wonder if there's a crossover between people who have enough free time to sit around and moderate
definitely
Facebook pages and unemployment.
These are the same people that, these are the same people on Twitter in the comic book industry. Like, their job is to tweet 24/7. Like, you see hundreds of thousands of tweets in their Twitter history. It's like, dude, what the fuck? How much are you on Twitter?
Here's where I come on this subject. If you are willing to go and call people out and say, reason A, comment B, tweet B, whatever, and I'm going to cancel you, when you get canceled or you get upset by someone else, you have no right to complain because you encourage that culture.
Yeah,
I
tell people all the time,
to make the change and positively encourage people to be better instead of just saying bye.
I always tell people, if you want to cancel me for anything, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm sure I've said so many. Just go, skim through all my content and make highlights of all the offensive shit I've ever said. Do it. I don't care. Because I'll stand by all the stupid jokes I've said.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, like, you never know when it's going to happen. Like, as the pandemic has progressed, I've gotten just more and more outspoken over shit that I normally wouldn't do. And every time I just sit there and I go, okay, every time there's a new comment, I just sat there and I go, oh God. And I just expect that something's going to happen. And like maybe 1 out of 10 times, I generally get a snooty comment like that, which there are people who think
it was turning red, Tyler. It was turning red. We got a lot of flack for that.
Yeah, you gotta know how to handle the trolls too. But I mean, people disagree with you, and it's fine.
Well, it wasn't just that. Like, people chirped me for calling out 411 Thunder for being woke, and like they totally took my words.
You're talking about your personal friends or YouTube?
No,
people?
Although I've had personal friends who, once I started being more vocal,
I had
like
friends
they tuned out. They tuned out because, in all fairness, I had never spoken an opinion about that before. But it's that thing where, well, okay, you blurted out before how much you hate people who share my viewpoints. Why the fuck would I blurt that out loud if I'm trying to have a normal friendship with you? And here's the thing, like, if I was exactly how you described me, why would I still be trying to be friends with you? Yeah. Like, people legitimately don't understand.
They want you to grovel. They want you to bend the knee because you're not really their friend. You're an ally to them. And the second that you're no longer an ally, they turn on you,
Yeah, like, I mean,
they don't have friends.
One of the most ridiculous. No, the sad thing is they do have friends. It just so happens that they're just as.
But what does it say when every one of your friends is like mentally ill? You don't have any fucking normal friends that are like functioning adults in society, tax-paying people. Every one of your friends is like some kind of fucking blue-haired weirdo. It says some weird shit about you. They're all drug addicts. They all live in fucking poverty and squalor. I mean, that says something. There's a connection here.
Here's the most fucking pathetic example of this. I saw a Letterboxd review of a former friend of mine and a former friend of Josh's, and So in the it was a Nomadland review, and I think she said that she gave it 3 stars just for the real nomads in the movie, and then said, but Chloe Zhao and Frances McDormand have no concept and shouldn't be talking about it. And I just sat there and went, aren't you judging the real life aspects compared to the movie?
It's a movie, y'all.
And then one of her friends from college started chirping me. I respectfully called him a bully and told him to back off.
Yeah.
And Bastard threatened me.
Yeah.
Like, no joke, like legitimately threatened me.
Well, it's always good when people do this shit in written word. You got receipts, but you know, like to clarify before what I said, if like there's nothing wrong with having mentally ill friends, but I mean, obviously, like I'm saying, if all your friends have fucking weird neuroses, that's weird. But one like final point about all this before we get into like Infinity Pool. What? Sorry.
I said if all your friends have like a list of TikTok self-diagnosis.
Yeah.
Are they
good.
clown self now? Fuck.
But like one of like these final points before we start diving into Infinity Pool is like, you know, they always accuse like I have said on these We Watch videos, like some edgy jokes that are like, I don't know. I mean, this might be misconstrued. You know, I was talking about earlier, I was talking about the hard R word, which is like grape, you know, but I'm not talking about the N word. I don't want any misconception. That's the N word. The hard R word is the sex right. It's like, you know, we're making jokes like that. And I realize those are kind of edgy on the line, but it's like, the point is like, they always accuse us as like coming from hatred, bigotry. It's like, dude, we're coming from a place of joy here. Like, that's the thing. They're the ones coming from a place of hatred. We're over here making jokes, laughing, kind of everything's on the table. Like we're all, no one's going to hold any grudges or be offended by what you say. You know, it's going to be fun. We're all just watching these stupid movies and trying to be funny and laugh. And, you know, even if I say something that's a little too edgy, I'll say like, sorry, you know, but it's like, we'll still laugh. It's like, you can't help but laugh. That's how you know it's funny.
See, there was one time where I made a joke like that and then inserted like booing sound effects just to make it clear that I knew this was in bad taste. Like
Right.
that Luke Besson movie Valerian, where Rihanna was in it. And I literally started off my video with it's a good thing Rihanna's a shapeshifter. That way Chris can't find her.
Yeah. I mean, the Chris Brown jokes are offensive and some of them are fucking hilarious. And God help that poor woman get away from that awful man, you know, and everyone knows.
Well, she did.
I have no sympathy for people that are still fans of that dude. I don't understand that. That's weird. Just like people who are still fans of R. Kelly.
But humor has always been able to comment on society, and no one is above a joke. No one is above humor. Humor is a way we can process things. The moment we shut down the conversation, the moment we stop talking about it, the moment we can't joke about it, then nothing gets done, and we're just stuck in a stalemate.
Yeah, it's like Norm Macdonald said. It sounds like that fucking commie gobbledygook to me. That's what it, you know?
Legend Norm Macdonald, absolutely.
But anyway, like I said, I got into fucking bed at 8, woke up at 11, did a bunch of shit, and then I watched this movie, fucking Infinity Pool at 6 in the morning. Now, when did you watch the shit, Ben? You watched it early, as soon as it came digital?
Yeah, it's basically as soon as it dropped digital, I watched it, and I loved it. I was a huge fan of Possessor also.
Right.
I think
which one did you like more? I think I like Possessor more.
You know, I think Possessor was a better film, but I think I was more entertained by Infinity Pool because, like,
which one do you think would merit from multiple viewings? Because I've only seen both once.
Possessor is good. I watched that a couple times. It's definitely good on a second view because the plot's a little confusing.
Yeah,
it doesn't really make a. Well, they just do. The thing I love about David Cronenberg specifically, he is like anti-exposition. He refuses to do any exposition whatsoever. Yeah. And you just have to take everything for granted. Like, this is the way the world. He's good at the world building. It's not like it's a mystery.
He doesn't think his audiences are idiots.
Yeah, or he just doesn't feel the need to explain it. You know, it's just like that's the way it is.
Good.
And I mean, I really liked the, the scenes where he's like jacking into the other person's brain or whatever, kind of similar to the scene where the body's being doubled in this film. Big fan of those shots, but you know, I think Mia Goth and in this one, and then all of like I was yelling at the TV when she's giving him the behind the back hand job on the beach. I mean, that was wild. I was like, this is too much.
That's like her first step in like breaking him, and like she's trying to turn him into like a slave. Basically, it's weird.
completely dominates him in every possible way, and
It's
he
so
just
good.
like doesn't even he provides absolutely no resistance to any of it. I think that's kind of like his defining part of his character. Is that
I found
he
out
is a dog
yesterday
at the end,
that me and Mia Goth share October 25th, the birthday. So me and Pablo Picasso and Mia Goth. She also, God bless her for showing Tid and a lot of Tid in this movie. That was great.
Yes, indeed.
They did the fucking what was it? Was that Catcher in the Rye? They did the Catcher in the Rye ending with the fucking random fucking breastfeeding out of nowhere, and it's just like
that was weird. That was really weird.
I liked
I
it.
did not get that. I did not get that far in Catcher.
She's basically rewarding him for whatever the fuck she did, whatever and that's the whole point. Is like, was he a clone? Was he not? Was the real one executed? It doesn't matter because at the end of the movie, he's like a shell of his former self. Like he was broken and brought to the edge of humanity, where like everyone else like snaps out of it and they go back to the real world. They're on the bus talking about their mundane shit, and he's just kind of like stuck there by himself, fucking traumatized.
Well, see, I have a theory on this movie. I think that the girl that was killed in the beginning there and such, I think he's mourning the loss of someone, so he's living himself through different lives, through clones, basically seeing how his life could have been, replaying it. And when he ends up on the beach alone, he's still mourning that death, and he has played through all the scenarios and how his life could have gone if the person lived that he loved. That's my theory on the movie.
Weird. Yeah. I mean, I just liked how it was like more about like, this woman, I mean, it's kind of like I said, it reminded me of Hostel with like this crazy like murder tourism, but like it's like The Purge plus Multiplicity. It was weird, but this idea that like, there's no consequences for your actions, so you can kind of just get away with more shit. And how corruptible are you, especially from like the influence of a beautiful woman who's like trying to send you down this path of debauchery and addiction, drugs. There's like all the crazy drugs, smoking or inhaling, and dude, it was just so weird.
One
and
thing
obviously,
I thought
like, there's a definitive moment.
Interesting. One thing I thought was, oh, sorry, go ahead and finish. You said definitive moment.
No, you go ahead.
That was
to say like the orgy.
So
the orgies and all this.
The drug orgy was great.
Duplicating stuff.
But I thought it was interesting with him. Like he shows very like no real regard. He's kind of numb, or maybe even slightly enjoying watching, these clones be killed. And then
definitely enjoying.
He doesn't take a lot of prodding to, be violent himself until he's faced with having to kind of kill himself.
Right.
I thought that was kind of interesting how he's going down this path, but like the only real resistance he faces when he has to kill his own self,
his rabid dog self.
And the fact that when he's beating up himself, he's literally dressed in a cop uniform, like some position of authority. That's like basically he's literally beating up the good side of him, which he doesn't realize until he's too late, which that was such a good
also the fact that he tries to spare himself, but then of course he gets attacked by himself, so he has to kill himself out of defense. He has no choice.
One scene that I don't think gets enough love is that part where he goes into the barn and he thinks he's being confronted by the kid whose mom or dad was it? Which one was it that he? No. It was the guy
he ran over the guy.
And it's the son of the guy who literally potentially has the ability to do that all over again, except it's the real deal. So he's smiling even more. Skarsgård is even more regretful and panicking. And I just sat there and I went, what the fuck? Where the fuck is this going to go?
Yeah. Well, and then he does the weird head splitting scene, more body horror. So much body horror in this movie. The orgies, like I was saying, most memorable sex scene ever. Just watch the movie for the sex scene alone. It's crazy. And all that weird, like you definitely seeing like vaginal penetration in those weird, imagery and hallucinations. Definitely seeing like X-rated images going on there in the subtext of those effects. It was weird.
I'm trying to think of what was a more enjoyable sex scene because a lot of people have been shitting on that Ana de Armas movie Blonde, but there's that one sex scene that's actually enjoyable when she's having that threesome with Chaplin's kid and the other guy. And it's literally the only sexy sex scene in that movie because the men she's doing it with are the only men in the movie that legitimately view her as a human being as opposed to the other husbands that kind of just see her as an object.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to see that. I mean, it got the Razzie Award for worst picture. So
That movie, honestly, is not that bad. It's not that bad. It's a different take on the character. There's some good stuff in there, but it's not perfect.
I saw some bullshit called like M, and it's like basically like Marilyn Monroe Vampire Hunter. It's like, why?
I gotta look this up.
Why her of all people? Does she strike you as a vampire or a zombie hunter?
Regarded for Abraham Lincoln only.
Right. And I think it was Zombie Hunter, Marilyn Monroe Zombie Hunter, but like, she seems like the kind of chick who didn't want to break a nail.
Well, I mean, if you see Blonde, you know that breaking the nails is the least of her concerns. But
sorry, what was that, Meg?
She looks to me like, because she used to be like married and live in the country before she went and became.
Have you seen Misfits? That's a fantastic movie. Takes place entirely in the country with Clark Gable, her finest performance beside Niagara.
I loved the HBO Marilyn Monroe movie with her, Mira Sorvino and Ashley Judd, Norma Jean and Marilyn. And it's basically like Ashley Judd plays Norma Jean, what's her face? Like before she gets cosmetic surgery and becomes Marilyn Monroe, she was like a down to earth, like country girl. And then she like became like this like ditzy bimbo. So like she's basically Mira Sorvino. And I assume they cast 2 actresses so they would save on special effects. But like it's Mira Sorvino as Marilyn Monroe being like confronted by like hallucinations of her former self, played by Ashley Judd, who's very good. They're both very good.
That's actually a really cool idea.
Yeah, check it out. It was like a 90s HBO original movie. Came out right around the same time as that Dorothy Dandridge, Halle Berry movie. A few years before that.
But I mean, the reason Blonde got the Razzie is just because of the subject matter, nothing more. Because I mean, when you look at the direction, it's something that you haven't seen before, where it does switch between color to black and white, different aspect ratios, but it's much more chaotic to the point where I still legitimately don't know what all of it means, but it looks amazing. You have Ana de Armas, who honestly, I think this is her best performance just for how daring it is. And I do love the fact that she's standing up to the critics when it comes to how much they hate it. She just sits there and goes, well, yeah, you're supposed to feel that way, guys. Like, that's the fucking point.
She's also just such like an unapologetic babe. Like ever since that terrible, like the OK Knock Knock movie, like her and that other chick show up and like, terrorize Keanu Reeves for like an hour and a half.
I forgot she was one of those girls.
She's like straight up, like that's where I first noticed her. She's just like getting naked, showing her body, being like sexy and scary.
See, like most people, I first saw her in Blade Runner and I just sat there and thought, she was great. I hope she goes places. And then Knives Out was a couple of years later and I just sat there and went, holy shit, I was right.
But would you rather have a straightforward Marilyn Monroe biopic where everything is paint by the numbers, similar to your Rocket Man, Bohemian Rhapsody, Elvis, or would you rather have something more interesting and unique presented in Blonde? Dude, I would rather have.
And to the people who are going on and on about how they think it's sexist, misogynist, you might want to tell the woman who wrote the novel that this is based on about that, because that's the thing. This is it's based off of a novel. It's not technically a real life story. And again, the fact that a woman wrote that story to begin with should really tell you something.
Yeah, that's right. And it's like I said, like it's also great. Like it is empowering when women are like unapologetically sexy. Like I said, like Ana de Armas is and Margot Robbie and these chicks that are just like, I mean, the character gets naked because that's the part of the movie, and that's my job.
And Mia Goth with some of
Mia Goth, she's.
And here's the big thing:
Mia Goth, she seems young, so I feel weird like seeing her naked in movies because she seems like she's just like a child.
She's not. I'm willing to
I know she's not.
She's older than I am, probably.
But if you're not interested in the subject matter of Blonde, you have the right and the choice to not watch it, not talk about it. Don't give it your money and give it no attention and go create art that you think reflects the worldview. You can just ignore it. Or you're allowed to ignore it.
Or just find the art that you want.
Just go watch Little House on the fucking Prairie over there if you're so offended by women having a choice. So,
well, yeah, I mean, that's the other thing. Is like, sometimes it's not. Sometimes these chicks don't have whole choices. I understand that exploitativeness, like, I had to get naked to further my career, and I got Harvey Weinstein or whatever.
We don't talk about it, but guys get pushed into shit like that all the time.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. It's like Dave Chappelle said, a man's test is a woman. A woman's test is nice things.
But in Infinity Pool, I think that the cinematography was absolutely brilliant. I like particularly the finale in the cornfield, the way they shot that with the barn, the way it's lit, the way they have the shadows on his face, the colors in the cornfield with that tint of red, the way they shoot the daunting car as he's running along, trying to get away from them. I think this is better shot than Possessor for me. I like when we start to get
these
into
cool drone
the
shots
finale, we get these canted angles to show this sort of distortion of reality.
That's what I was just saying. Like the drone shots for the opening shot, the expository, because like that's how you do your setting shots. There's always the the establishing shots, but those are like the craziest establishing shots I've ever seen in a movie.
And Cronenberg's starting to like form his own reoccurring style. Like there's so many camera moves that I saw in Possessor that he kind of perfected with Infinity Pool. Like I talked about this. I've talked about this before, like how he sometimes he has characters like just on the edge of the frame. Meanwhile, there's all this empty space that just makes you feel so damn uncomfortable. Or like I pointed out, the extreme close-ups that just are so in your face that you just can't help but squirm.
Who does the? Is it the same person doing the music in both of these?
Let me look it up.
Let me see.
I don't know, but I remember thinking. I remember not even noticing the music. I didn't even notice the music to Infinity Pool until the first transformation duplication scene. I was like, oh, okay, this.
Yeah, but here's the thing: you don't. Music is not necessary
listen to
for
this.
film.
Okay, Jim Williams did the music, known for Possessor, Titan. Raw and Kill List.
Oh my goodness, I love most of those movies. Raw is a masterpiece.
So Raw is the same director as Titan.
Right.
Great film.
Same chick, Julia Ducruno, whatever how you say it.
Yeah.
And both of them, like you said before I was on the stream, can be described as very, very French. You know, that should be its own genre. Like, I mean,
French.
La
Femme Nikita.
Like, this one's French, y'all. Like,
there's some great French films out there. Don't undercut French film. There's a massive wealth of French film.
There's more than.
Don't get me wrong. I loved both. I loved both of those. You know, but there is a certain element of it that's like distinctly, you know, very French. Not a dig in any way, but
we're definitely but we're also.
But if you're only watching English films or Marvel movies or a certain genre, you're really limiting your view of film. Should you not explore all genres to an extent?
No,
maybe
for
you
sure.
don't love it, but you should try to reach out and understand it.
You could describe a Marvel movie as a Marvel movie, and people understand what you're talking about. Whereas like French is pretty loose, but like I assume there's going to be like weird erotic undertones, and B, like borderline pedo or incestual fucking weird shit going on. This, you know,
it's funny when
can't help but notice in these French movies.
It's funny when when Josh and I saw Shin Ultraman, I was reminded of how sexual Japanese media can be because there's one scene where a woman breaks in, finds a guy with his hands tied behind his back in a chair, and the camera literally positions the guy like in between the woman's legs with the dress over top of them, and I'm just sitting there going, "What the fuck is going on?"
But there was no RoboCop to shoot the guy's dick. Sorry.
Okay, I would. This doesn't actually track, but Paul Verhoeven.
Love Paul
French
Verhoeven.
kind of movies. And
Showgirls, very French style movie.
Dude, I love Showgirls.
It was just like there's some weird shit going on here.
Yeah, Ben was on the Paul Verhoeven episode I did on Facebook almost years ago. We never got to Starship Troopers. That was
oh my goodness, I love that movie.
We were like dissecting we were
talking about all the other weird ones.
we were saving Starship Troopers for last, but by the time we got to it, we already been talking for like 3 hours. So we're like,
did you watch Benedetta?
I did. That is a fucked up movie. Recommend.
I thought
Meg, watch Benedetta.
We got so many complaints about that trailer. I couldn't play it on anything unless it was super R-rated because the seniors were like, "No, nuns can't do that."
Yeah, well, me and Ben were joking about how that's basically that movie, the fake movie from Tropic Thunder, Satan's Alley, but with like hot lesbians instead of hot lesbian monks instead of like.
There's a worse version of that. Did you see the one with Alison Brie? That one was awful. What was that one called?
Oh, no, I did like that one with it was like
Little
a dark
Hours,
comedy.
Little Hours.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, that one was funny at points, but then the trailer was the best part.
Yeah, it was.
That Little Hours is the same guy as the newer Alison Brie one with Spin Me Round. Did you see that?
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet. I want to.
So yeah, that's the same guy. I'm pretty sure he's married to Aubrey Plaza.
That would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, wasn't it also? Was it that other movie? Time Travel, Safety Not Guaranteed. No, that was the other dude.
No, this guy Jeff Bain did Life After Beth with Aubrey Plaza as like a zombie, which is hilarious. Recommend that one.
He did that Horse Girl one
he did
that I'm hearing a lot about.
I never watched that one. I've heard
what a unique director. No one can ever say he doesn't have a unique voice in his movies.
Absolutely, yeah. He's definitely doing his own thing.
That guy doing his own thing.
I mean, Aubrey Plaza's just doing her own thing, and I don't want her to stop. Just do whatever you do, and I'll watch it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, as long as he keeps booking her into his shit, that's like, you 100%. Know what, you know what you got going on here.
If you haven't seen Ingrid Goes West, it is phenomenal.
Yes.
It is a phenomenal
had me watch
film.
That one.
Which one?
Great film.
Ingrid Goes West.
Oh hell yeah, dude! I loved it. I've seen it like a few times now. I love it.
So good. It's so rewatchable.
And I liked back to the cinematography in Infinity Pool. Yeah, like it's like the I remember specifically like the accident scene. Like leading up to the accident, and then after they leave, like where he's like driving off and he's all freaked out. There's like thundering lightning behind him, like foreboding all this shit. Oh god, I just keep staring at the stupid wallpaper.
The editing choices were a lot different too. Like there's that one moment where all the rich people break into the judge that was presiding over them, and I'm pretty sure they kill him. Then it cuts to like all of them getting executed.
No, they killed that woman. I think.
Yeah, they blow someone's brains out in that scene.
Only to reveal that like the execution, they were literally just peering as an audience, and I just sat there and I went,
well, yeah, they switched sides of it. Whereas like normally you're watching the execution from the point of view of the doubled person or the original person, but in that one they kind of do like a double cross, and it makes it seem like, you know, because the cop goes in and it's like, well, this time it's going to be different. And gives them the fear that it's like, you're gonna die for real. And then you're led to believe that, and then it's like, actually no, it's a party. Like,
and then they're all laughing and like they're all giving Skarsgård like a bunch of high fives. Like, yeah, you stood up to him. That's cool, man. Like it was props.
See, like if I were to imagine myself in that scenario, I would feel relieved that someone took the punishment for me. I wouldn't like be cheering it on like a football game. So that just makes it even all the more fucked up.
That was why the wife left, because she was fucking traumatized when he's like, please, help me. And she looks at him and he's just kind of like,
and you know when Josh.
So here's a question: Why do you think Why do you think he hid his own passport to not go with her? That was the one thing I couldn't quite figure out.
Right. It was also.
I think it's because Mia Goth gave him that bang in behind the back hand job, and he couldn't get it off his mind.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
I always thought that Mia Goth just hid it from him in the first place.
Right. That's what I thought too, because she was. He says, "Oh, I didn't find it," and you assume Mia Goth. She's the one who tells him, like,
exactly.
Yeah. She's the one saying, like, "Oh, we know."
They've taken it from him the whole time.
That was another twist. It's like, yeah, this guy has your passport, but he knows where it is. But then he goes along with it anyway. But then, like you said, he immediately is like, "It's gone too far." When I'm like beating myself up, you know, I feel sick now. Like this isn't right.
Yeah, this you know, killing that other guy was cool and the reason, you know, it's talking about the passport. The whole reason he decides to go along with that is because this guy's like, look, I'll help you get a new passport. I've got a guy. Yeah. He didn't even need it. He knew he didn't need it.
Right.
So it's like
he just wants to be
like he's trying to convince himself to do what he really wants to deep down. It's like he's got to break down these pieces of himself to do, you know, to succumb to his most depraved version of himself.
That kind of goes back to the first execution. Like he smiles afterwards, but I don't think it's because he's smiling because he's enjoying watching that guy get killed. He's smiling because he's realizing he could do whatever the fuck he wants in this town. There's no consequences here.
So I want to know how much did it cost? So I was thinking about that.
Yeah.
They don't really give you quite an
idea. Which is good. And you don't know how exactly how rich the wife is.
Yeah, exactly. And it's
but here's the thing about the wife. The wife is the least
how many new bodies is she gonna buy you before she's like, look, motherfucker, you either come home or you're cut off from the fucking clone factory.
That's what I thought was gonna be the end. Was like he's finally like, just put it on my tab. It's like, yeah, your card's been canceled. So now
we knew the wife was gonna leave the movie. She's the most underdeveloped character in the entire film. She has no personality. She's just there to tell him no, and then she disappears pretty much.
She represents the super ego. She represents the conscience, and like she dwindles away. Whereas like Mia Goth represents like the id, you know, the destructive, like, do me, you know, they're both two devils on his shoulders, you know.
You know, Josh, you and I had this conversation in the car on the way to my place where you were suggesting that maybe the wife was like the original clone that got executed by the kid, but Skarsgård was picturing himself kind of as a deflection because we saw like the 3 urns, and he looked at one in particular with a great deal of remorse, which I honestly hadn't thought of until you brought it up.
And I think there are some spliced in shots of the wife dead when he's packing the suitcase that are so minimal I couldn't see. Because when you go up to the execution of him, if you watch very closely, when you go into the room before he's about to be executed on his first clone, you can see his wife tied to the stake where the guy is going to do it for a split second, but only from afar. So that's why I think he may have executed her or sent her to die, or he feels guilty about killing her.
See,
but
that
there is a split
that
second
could make
of her.
sense. That the M that left is also a clone, and she's like, I can't, or no, not a clone, but maybe a clone. That's the thing. It's like they don't know if they're actually clones.
We don't know.
I would argue maybe she was in his imagination as she was like threatening to leave and such. But I mean, that just adds to the rewatchability factor because you got to watch for the subliminal stuff. And David Fincher is the only person I can think of who's ever really done that. Because in 7, when Spacey reveals that he killed Paltrow, you see a random picture of her pop up for a split second. Right before Brad Pitt decides
Fincher
to
did the same with Fight Club.
And Zodiac did that too for a few seconds.
It's a good way to show internal monologue. But yeah, as far as like the crazy ending, it's like he just decides to stay behind in the monsoon season, which is clearly like a metaphor for something. The whole movie is a giant metaphor, that's why it's good. It's like, it's a very, like I said, like sometimes these like weirder, simpler stories you get more to pull from,
Well, and he manages not to, beat you over the head with like, this is a metaphor.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's the explanation for that metaphor, and actually it costs $49.99 to get your clone made, and like the ability to just kind of let it speak for itself. It's like I enjoy that about him because it's kind of a rare thing. It's very original, and he's not afraid to just like make this weird ass movie for weird ass people, and not try to make something that's like, because most people are going to, I don't think most people will see this trailer and be like, hell yeah, I want to watch that, like I did.
Yeah, but, no, I just heard the name Cronenberg and my interest peaks. I'm like, all right.
See,
I went in blind. I didn't know. I knew nothing. Tyler just said we're going to see Infinity Pool. I said, okay, that's all I knew.
Well, it's great. Also, because it's one of those things where I always forgot what the hell those stupid Infinity Pools were called, and people would be like, "It's called Infinity Pool. It's called an Infinity Pool." And now I will never forget because of this dumb movie. It's like,
I had never heard of that before either.
Infinity pools are like, in case you don't know, they're those pools that you see in all the fancy movie scenes. They go, the water goes right to the edge of the balcony.
The pool you wish you could afford.
Well, a true infinity pool has to have an oceanside view because the edge of the pool is supposed to go off.
I see what you're saying.
An actual body of water, so it goes on forever. You can put an infinity pool in your backyard, but it's kind of there's really no point.
It's an infinity loop
unless you've got a waterfront view.
Yeah,
I mean, come on, shouldn't you?
I got oceanfront property in Arizona.
Did you buy 12 acres from a guy on the phone like me today?
Yeah, Glenn Ross. There we go. That was another.
Jack
Lemmon came to my house begging.
So I don't know. I don't know if I missed it, but did we talk about Existence? Because that's my other favorite.
No, let's talk about it. Because like I was one who brushed over. Basically, I was talking about how it was a shame that The Matrix kind of stole that movie's thunder because I liked them both like equally for different reasons.
So I'm a huge fan of like the virtual reality type thing, not knowing what is real and what is not, and that being that's done really well in that movie, especially with the transitions when they're going.
The movie's such a trip every time. Yeah, every time you wake up,
very trippy.
Every time it's revealed that they're in the game again, you're still like, "Fuck, no!"
It's funny. It's funny you mentioned The Matrix because I'm pretty sure there was another virtual. Is Dark City technically counting as that? Because it kind of has the exact same plot, but it was done a couple years before.
Yeah, it didn't come out in '99, but yes, Dark City also had the same like visual kind of look of The Matrix with like it's very green saturated and you've got dark dressed authoritarian figures.
I would argue maybe a little bit better just because it has the noir lighting down with the shadows and the silhouettes. Like I eat that shit up. And
Dark City is one of those other director's cuts that's superior. There's not a lot that I think usually the director, unless it's like
See, I was gonna rent the director's cut. Am I right in saying that there's apparently like an inner monologue that's completely removed in the director's cut?
In the theatrical cut, it starts with Keith or Sutherland giving you a big like rolling text monologue, like, "Hey, this is what's going on. There are these dudes. They can fucking control the city." In the new one, it's like the Cronenberg style. Like, we kind of have to piece it together ourselves. It's a giant mystery.
Because I saw Drinker with his review for Dark City and how he pointed out the first 5 minutes literally tell you everything that might have just been better off left to imagination or for you to discover midway through.
I would recommend maybe watching the director's cut first and then checking out the first 5 minutes of the theatrical cut after that.
Because I love the film noir look to it.
So
and Russell from Let's Talk Content was asking me some stuff for Let's Talk Cinema. I know you guys are doing Boogie Nights. I'm definitely going to tune into that.
Can't fucking wait. We're going to talk about Mark Wahlberg's 13-inch dick. We're going to talk about cocaine. We're going to talk about disco. We're going to talk about that kind of.
But it's funny. When I recommended Once Upon a Time in America first, he messaged me back, "Is there any other ones that you were thinking of?" And I literally told him about Standoff at Sparrow Creek just because not enough people know about this movie, man. Like, as a
Ben, you saw that one, right?
What's that?
Standoff at what now?
Sparrow Creek.
I don't think so.
Check that one out, dude. Bunch of
it's not even
crazy militia boys trapped in a warehouse, getting ready for the cops parade, and just
super violent.
Interior.
I don't know if it's super
cool,
violent. It's super tense, and you're just sitting there waiting for violence to happen. You don't even see blood. You don't even see the bullets. You just see people standing off in anticipation. A lot of really cool Sergio Leone style.
It's also kind of like The Whale. It's like a play. It's one of those movies. The whole movie takes place in a fucking a warehouse locked up building.
Yeah, and it's the cinematography and the lighting that makes it feel cinematic.
It's
a better version of
thriller,
Free Fire.
Tension
totally.
kind of feel. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
the plot is these dudes are in some weird illegal type of militia. Got a bunch of guns, and one of their dudes is apparently doing some crazy shit out in the city. So they're getting ready for a big cops coming type thing. I don't know. It's crazy.
And the ending, the actual mystery, once it's resolved, it's one of the most movies when they do that, it's just such a cheap cop out. But in this, it actually makes legitimate sense, and there's a clear motive behind it that ties into what our main character, James Badge Dale, which after I saw Empty Man, I looked up his other movies, and this was the first one I would check out. And I would argue he's even better in this than Empty Man.
Who is in both? Because I like Empty Man. It was a little too long, but
the detective from Empty Man, the main guy.
The main guy. All right.
In fact, that's actually him right there. So
that opening sequence of Empty Man, that first 25-30 minute little.
Oh, that film. Okay.
I mean, that is just amazing.
Past the 5 minute mark where it was still going, I just sat there and I went, wait.
I know. I was surprised as well. You don't really see you're expecting it to just be one of those punchy intro setups, where it's going to be a 5 years later kind of thing, but it just goes, and then is this going to be the whole movie? I almost kind of wish it had been
a part of me wonders. Really good. A part of me wonders what would have happened if the first half of the movie was those three mountaining, and then the second half being the detective. Can you imagine how it would have played out that way?
Yeah,
I mean, because I
like the weird occult kind of side elements to it too.
And it's done in such an unconventional way. When they take that bit with the footsteps, where he takes one step back and then they do one step forward and then they do, and then he just starts running and they're starting running. I'm just sitting there going, "This is much more robotic and emotionless than most cults." I like that. Yeah. And that scene where he's watching the cassette in the cabin. There's a teddy bear in the background, but as they keep cutting back and forth and panning in, the bear just disappears. There's no dun-dun. You even have to look in the background super carefully in order to look at it. And I'm just sitting there going, I bought a ticket to this movie because I had a Friday night to kill. I was literally the only person in the theater, which was the first time that ever happened. And I mean, perfect movie to watch when you're the only person in the theater, because
you were the Empty Man. You're in the Empty Man.
I legitimately was the Empty Man.
I still haven't seen it. I got to check it out.
You really do.
It's real. It's good. I think it's they probably could have carved 20 minutes off of it.
I feel like that's the case with a lot of movies these days.
Here's the thing: they were
2 hour 17-minute runtime. It's a little long for horror. Well, go ahead.
They were technically supposed to, because the director flat out said like the version that came into theaters was actually a rough cut, so that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, and, I while I did feel like it just took too long, it doesn't really drag too much. Like you're never sitting there like, what the fuck is going on? It's just like at the end of it, you're like, you probably could have tightened it up a little bit. You know?
That's what made me appreciate it, though, the fact that it was taking its time, and much
For sure.
like
it does add to the tension of it, right?
And much like Infinity Pool, like there's hardly any dialogue. It's just a guy going from point A to point B, looking for evidence, observing, spying on people. Like hardly, maybe one or two jump scares, but I can't really remember.
It's all about the sound design for that movie. All those little whispers going on the whole time, and everybody doing that weird little clicks and shit.
And
Very unsettling.
And I talked about Fincher earlier. David Pryor, this director, actually edited a bunch of behind the scenes special features on like David Fincher movies. So like he actually has spent hours listening to people dissect movies scene by scene.
Okay, I wanted to let you guys know, because when I looked up facts for this, apparently the editor of Infinity Pool edited all 4 seasons of Cash Cab, if anyone remembers.
Whoa, moving on up.
Wow, that's hilarious.
Nice.
Of
And
all
I
the,
just thought that
of all
was
the
fun.
game shows I watched, Cash Cab has been one of the least, but even I can acknowledge that's actually pretty awesome.
I remember I was
how
so
Dave's
shocked when I
was.
looked at Michael Bay's like full director filmography and realized like all the fucking crazy ass music videos he's done for like Tina Turner and Rolling Stones. I was like, Jesus. But you know, back to Standoff. One of the movies I did like, it's a little bit of a tangent, but it's like it's like a similar movie, but the opposite end of that coin was that movie Free Fire.
Oh, I love Free Fire.
Brie Larson and it's like that Ben Wheatley movie.
You fill up my senses.
Like a 90 minute shootout.
Yeah.
And it's like that's something that you see in real life. Is like sometimes shootouts, you know, standoffs, they last a while. You know, you got people blocked off and barricaded and exchanging fire
by Martin
between each other for
Scorsese.
hours, you know, and like that movie is based on a real police account, you know, or ATF account.
But I mean, sometimes the constant shootouts can get a little, or constant fights even can get a little drawn out and dull.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people like this one Indonesian movie, The Night Comes for Us. I actually got tired of it pretty quickly.
The fighting is cool.
The fighting is insane. It is awesome. And there is some world building that I do like. Like I like the lesbian henchwomen. I like that girl from The Raid who had like the motorcycle helmet and keeps switching sides.
The Raid is awesome.
The Raid 2
is also awesome.
Dials at
the Raid 1 and 2 are some of the best action movies made in the last 10-15 years. You're not going to get anything better than that action one.
Yeah, and Dread was also so great because
Dread
it
was
like
wonderful.
It took like a fucking few pages from Raid 2.
Yeah.
Great
I mean,
stuff,
you
man.
do have Bullet Train.
Raid
that was
2.
the only one in recent memory that tries to do an all location, but it fails its character in every aspect and its style over substance.
Yeah, back to the Critical Drinker page. I remember like people were very praising Bullet Train, and I saw it and I was like, meh.
I didn't get it. Like
the way it's edited is the biggest
juvenile.
problem.
And the
I mean,
biggest
way I can phrase that is
you get that one for me. Like I just thought I had fun with it. Like I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't get anything out of it, but like I watched it.
I didn't understand people saying it was like one of the best movies of the year and shit.
The editing was awful because we could have easily had the Tangerine truck hit the person at the end of the train in the same shot without the credits, and we could have easily gone without all the names showing up, without this anime and style. We could have had a lot. Instead of spending all this time setting up this major backstory for this guy who gets shot and killed immediately, we could have spent time on characters that are actually in the film.
Bad Bunny was wasted.
I do not like Bad Bunny. His music is bad.
Zazie Beetz was criminally. Zazie Beetz was criminally underutilized.
But I mean, the thing is, like with I don't know. It's just these silly like Bullet Train. I don't know. It was one of those things where it was like overpraised, and I remember seeing it. Back to the French stuff. It's like Luc Besson, the professional, very French movie, you know. But one of the ones I loved and everyone loves is, and I still love it, is The Fifth Element. But like in hindsight, now that I'm older, when people say like, I remember being a 15-year-old and people saying Luc Besson wrote this movie when he was 15, and I was like, yeah. But now that I'm like 37, it's like a 15-year-old wrote this movie, and you're like, yeah, kind of.
Well, I mean,
kind of shows, and that's kind of what Bullet Train had that vibe. Like a 15-year-old would think this movie is the coolest shit ever. You know,
I don't know, like that's what they were going for, though. Like,
I mean,
Isn't
Seth
it fair
Rogen was
isn't it fair to
16
make
when,
a shitty movie for those people?
No, yeah.
But
it's
here's
nothing
the
wrong
thing,
with it.
and this will apply to animated movies. Like, just because a movie is for kids doesn't mean it has to suck. There can still be criticism applied. You need to make a movie for all audiences. As they said at the Oscars, animation is not a genre; it's filmmaking.
Yeah, and back to like 2D animation, I was gonna say like some of these other ones, like the Iron Giant. Like also,
Great
that's another
film.
one where it's like computer animation helping 2D speed along.
Yeah.
And but like that movie is so perfect, and it's always gonna be perfect. I could show that movie to my children, my grandchildren. I could show that movie to starving Ethiopians, and they'll all like it. Everyone will like that movie.
I'm trying to remember
so much heart. That's why people love it.
Yeah.
It's well animated. It's got heart, good voice acting, and it's very simple story that anyone can understand.
I'm trying to remember the last time I even saw a 2D animated movie in the theater. Like, it's been so fucking long. Like, Josh, I was gonna see Wolfwalkers before.
Yeah, I really wanted to see that too.
At the last
Did I get you the poster? I got you the poster. Right?
I wanted in.
Wolfwalkers is amazing. Song of the Sea.
Is it a werewolf movie?
No.
Oh no, I know what you're talking about.
It's
the
so
animation.
Good.
Yeah, yes.
It's very good.
There's also I love the Secret of Kells. Same
everyone keeps telling me Song of the Sea and Secret of Kells are like the best.
Secret of Kells is my favorite of all those. I've seen all of them. Secret of Kells was his first one, I think, and it's so good because it's very understated and it's weird. It's a great setting, like Celtic setting, and this is before Brave came out, Pixar's Brave. But
these guys also
with
made.
It's like a slow movie, and it's all about like those like crazy like calligraphy, like holy text pages, that these people would make.
Yeah,
and like the ending is just like you're looking at these pages, and the pages like illuminate and come to life, and they're very like, and it just ends with this crazy like trippy credit sequence. And it's like,
well, the last 2D one I might have seen was probably Kubo and the Two Strings and Isle of Dogs were probably the last two major ones I saw a couple times.
Those are both stop motion.
They're claymation.
Stop motion, but they're sort of 2D-ish.
Yeah. I mean,
non-traditional animation.
I like to. It's 2D compared to
Triplets of Belleville.
Great film. Great.
That was one that came out of.
That one didn't do it for me. Like,
it's a weird one.
I wanted to see it because of how the minimal amount of dialogue that this guy and his other movie, The Illusionist, which I've heard nothing but great things about The Illusionist.
Like, imagine
the Triplets of Belleville. I just sat there. I'm like, these characters' designs are way too dry. Like, the woman sees her grandson get kidnapped.
Tyler, it's French.
Back to the French,
okay? You know what I mean? This is what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying. Like, it's the adjective that describes it. How would you describe? It's like, okay, well, it's like, imagine if if you had Stomp plus a cartoon and it was French, and like you would be able to picture Triplets of Belleville in your head to a certain degree. You'd be like, okay, I think I'm understanding.
Dude, one of my favorite animated movies is The Red Turtle, which is
I love that fucking movie.
French movie with no dialogue whatsoever, and it's just perfect. It is absolutely perfect.
Yeah, and it's a wonderful.
And then you got Triplets of Belleville, where they literally have the same face for everything, and I'm just sitting there going, "Yeah, this gets old after like 10 minutes." I've seen silent cartoons
I gotta
from
jump,
French,
but I did want to say one thing before I go. You pulled up the Robert A. Silverman, the random guy that nobody knows.
Yeah, I'm like,
so he is in almost every David Cronenberg movie. He's got like a 5-minute cameo bit. So he's in Jason X, Existenz, Waterworld, Naked Lunch, Scanners, The Brood, Rabid. It's always just like a short scene where he's like, oh, he always just like intros some little thing, or he adds to the creepy Cronenberg vibe. I think he kind of defines this like weird Cronenberg vibe that he brings.
Did Cronenberg produce Jason X or something? Because like
it's one of those things. Like I was watching Jason X, and this guy has a really short part, and he's like paralyzed in a bed.
I say that because I said that earlier because I was looking up Cronenberg movies, and in Google, Jason X showed up. I was like, what? And I clicked it. It said directed by someone else. I was like, why is it here?
Okay, I wanted to ask you, Ben. I wanted to ask you, Ben.
No, he's Dr. Wimmer.
We're talking about futuristic movies and everything. How do you feel about Johnny Melmac, and why have we not memed I Want Room Service so many times over the internet? Because that is like one of the most memeable moments ever.
All right, man. Let's get talking about it.
I will never know.
Johnny Melmac.
Johnny Melmac. It's Keanu Reeves going into a distant future in '96 before The Matrix. It's like a rip-off Matrix.
That's how you pronounce it?
I don't know. I just went with that.
You mean Johnny Mnemonic?
Yeah, I go Melmac.
I was like, what? Melmac?
Don't,
yeah,
Johnny
wants room service.
Johnny Mnemonic is crazy prophetic. It literally starts with like a virus that took out most of the world.
Yeah.
And Henry Rollins, people like jacking stuff in their brains, like the Matrix.
Wait, Henry
yes.
Rollins was in this?
He's carrying like
Oh my
data, but he's
God.
going to
Francis.
overload his brain because he put too much data there. He's a data smuggler.
He's a
I'm not
data
gonna lie.
courier.
I'm not gonna
It's good.
lie. I didn't know who Henry Rollins was until after I watched Legend of Korra, and then I got a little bit more invested in him because he's my favorite Korra villain, Zahir, like an evil airbender. Which just say that part out loud.
Oh, Henry Rollins was in Wrong Turn 2. Of course, I've seen
He
that.
was in Heat. He was in The Chase. He's got some
Jack
great roles.
Frost.
Bad Boys 2.
Bad Boys too. He's always playing like fucking like lawmen or like crazy like stern like criminals.
Not in Sons of Anarchy.
You can't trust him though because he's a liar. He's a liar. Yeah, right. Fucking Black Flag. Henry Rollins' band. That was his solo band. I'm a liar. That song's so funny.
He's such a weird but still humble guy in real life. It's just insane.
I wasn't a fan. I wasn't a fan of his stand-up comedy / spoken word monologue specials he had done.
I think he prefers like to look at spoken word. Like I saw him do an interview with Tom Green of all people where he said that he never considered himself a comedian, and then Green just goes, "Well, I mean, I've seen your shows. Like you are funny." And he just goes, "Oh, thank you, but I'm not really."
Yeah. See, that's what you got to do. What I'm doing, just like put your shit, just go stream on YouTube. Don't like fucking try to book a theater and try to sell tickets to you fucking talking nonsense in a microphone. Just put it on YouTube. That's what I've been doing.
Yeah, not gonna lie. Like I couldn't make it for 10 minutes of his spoken word. It's not that his stories weren't interesting. It's that dude just really rushes it.
The dude's no Carlin. All right. The dude is no fucking Louis C.K. I want to see that kind of shit when I go see comedy. I want to see Dave Chappelle.
You know,
I want to laugh. I want a man make my laugh my balls off.
Rollins had an interesting story about Carlin once where apparently even after a decade or so of being like the biggest comic out there, Carlin is still panicking for dear life before going up in front of a crowd. And Rollins is just gone there thinking, dude, you're George Carlin. Like you've got this made. What do you freak out about?
I believe it though, because like when you hear his like crazy rehearsed like fucking spoken word stuff that he does, like his raps and stuff, like those were rehearsed to such a degree that only a guy who really fucking gives a shit about what his audience thinks would fucking dare perfect something like that to that degree.
As he once put it in an interview, I don't have talent. I have tenacity. I'm hardworking. And I'm just sitting there going, not very many celebrities can admit they're not talented. So like, that's really humbling coming out of you. And I wasted my time on He Never Died. Let me see.
I wish I would have.
He Never Died was okay.
Alive. Funniest man to ever walk this earth.
Here's a meme I read. It's a picture of George Carlin. Okay, and it says, "Religion is bad." Audience laughs hysterically. "White middle-class bankers ruined America." Audience breaks their wrist clapping. "White people will never be cool like blacks." Audience takes turns shitting in each other's mouths. "Shit, cunt, fuck, asshole, pussy, fuck, fart." Audience is wheezing on the floor uncontrollably and starts blowing each other. That was like Carlin right there, you know?
It's like the Lonely Island song when they're like, "Ladies, whip your dicks out."
I can't believe I'm about to say this.
Go kindergarten.
Well, speaking of kindergarten, did any of you guys know that George Carlin used to narrate Thomas the Tank Engine when it came to America?
I just found that out like a month ago. I was like,
what? The weird thing is, when he was in the recording booth, they had to put stuffed animals in front of him just so he felt comfortable, like he was in front of an audience. Because apparently when he tells any kind of material by himself, he apparently feels really uncomfortable, which I find strange. And I also, Josh is going to love this because he's the biggest Muppet fan out there.
Ever.
They wanted him to be Scrooge in Mickey Muppet Christmas Carol. And if I'm going to be honest, I would have preferred that over Michael Caine any other day.
I think Michael Caine was pretty good in that, but I mean, Richard Pryor was in the first Muppet movie. You had Steve Martin in it. You have Sarah Silverman appearing in the Muppets, so it would not be out of character for the brand.
Yeah, but Michael Caine, for starters, can't sing. Like listening to those song numbers was just embarrassing, and he's all cruelty. I don't really buy the sweet side of him. like with someone like George Carlin or even Tim Curry apparently was considered. I can see the snarky and the sympathetic.
I would be
but
fine
with
with
Michael.
Tim Curry.
But with Michael Caine,
he's in the Bill and Ted's movies. Carlin, you know, he's Rufus.
Oh right,
he's definitely got like a fucking soft side to him, Carlin. You know.
I like that they put Kid Cudi in place of him. It's like completely out of left field thing, and I was like,
the new one.
I can live with this.
I've already forgot the third one. The third one existed. You know what I mean?
The third one is great. I had a blast with that. I saw it twice in theaters. I have the poster up somewhere. It's just a really fun time. It's not. As
I remember.
Good as the first two,
I remember
but
not
fun.
like. I remember like not hating it or anything. But yeah, I'm just saying I totally forgot about it. But I love the second one. The second one's so fucking badass, dude. When they're in hell and shit. But back to Carlin versus Jesus. Who were you? Rollins. No. Before the other sad old guy, angry old
Michael
guy.
Caine.
Michael Caine. You're only supposed to blow the bloody doors off. Yeah, Michael Caine was so funny in like the Muppet movies because I saw the great meme where it's like Tim Curry and Michael Caine. They're in the two Muppet movies, respectively, Treasure Muppet Island and
when you're
Muppet
a professional
Christmas
pirate,
Carol.
you don't have to wear a suit.
But like the meme was basically like, yeah, Michael Caine, he was approaching it like every one of the Muppets is like an actual actor and he's approaching it totally seriously. And that's why it's so good. Whereas with Muppet Treasure Island, Tim Curry is acting like he is a Muppet.
Yes.
He is pretending to be a Muppet and he is like blending in with these Muppet characters. And so it's like the two of those movies back to back is like so wonderful.
It's amazing that Tim Curry considers that his favorite performance, but
it's a great performance.
I'm sure that would have been a blast to fucking make.
This is my only musical number.
See, my introduction to Tim Curry was that version of Three Musketeers Disney put out, where like Kiefer Sutherland, Oliver Platt, and Charlie Sheen were the Musketeers, and Chris O'Donnell was D'Artagnan.
Mine was Muppet Treasure Island, and then Rocky Horror Picture Show about a year later.
But like, he actually gave me I actually legitimately, as a 9-year-old kid, felt scared of Tim Curry as the Cardinal just because of that fucking smile of his. Dude, oh god,
we're talking about the Three Musketeers movie with Charlie Sheen. I literally posted this, shared this 16 hours ago. Hang on a second. Boy. This is
how post this up.
This is good.
This is a double this is like a double nerd alert meme right here.
Oh shit, I saw that too.
Man, I remember this movie. I remember this movie. I think I saw it once.
If you understand why this is hilarious, we can be friends. You know what I mean? Like, anyway, I take.
But like when you're a kid and you see the Mickey, Donald, and Goofy version of Three Musketeers at your grandma's, and then you watch this.
Yeah. You didn't start off with the 39 version by the Ritz Brothers?
The 90s,
the musical one with the opera segments?
I only know that. I only know the Disney version.
Get behind me and cover my pants.
So I know both Disney versions, and I know the one from the 70s that I think was made by like not Terry Jones.
All the 90s.
It was some famous big shot who like ended up making the Four Musketeers afterwards. Let me look it up.
What do you think of Man in the Iron Mask then? Because that one movie completely escapes my mind.
I was about to say I think that's the only. No, listen, I was going to say the only Three Musketeers movie I think I've seen all the way through is The Man on the Iron Mask. And I have vivid memories of when I first met my bass player, John, in high school. My band formed because of like a bunch of combination of events, including like, finding out that we smoke reefer and 9/11 and Star Wars. I met the dude because of Star Wars. I had to like proofread his paper about like Star Wars. But I remember when we would watch movies in class and we would like riff on them, kind of like I'm doing right now with Channel. I was a natural with this, but I remember one of the fucking memories seared in my head is Man in the Iron Mask when Gerard Depardieu is like, "It burns when I shit." He's having like some kind of like hemorrhoids or something. It's like a subplot with like
Gerard Disney likes those shit side plots.
But I was going to say, like, the 90s Disney's live action movies were, they were more not kids movies. They were like, preteens and up. And also like Touchstone Pictures was like the
why doesn't Disney have that anymore? I don't know why they can't separate the brand and make all their R-rated or their family dramas through that and make more money.
They're trying to be a family brand.
I mean, that's kind of what
they just sell Touchstone, but they own Fox and they're still doing that stuff. So what's the difference?
Yeah, right. Well, they used to own Miramax. They used to own Miramax. So it's like, I think they still do. But like the point is, like fucking, Pulp Fiction is technically a Disney movie.
Yep.
For Miramax, yeah.
So is Mallrats and Dogma.
Buena Vista Pictures, man. That's Buena Vista Distributions. That's what it's called. That's the parent company that owns all of it.
And I mean, for Miramax, Disney re-released not all of them, almost every Studio Ghibli movie that they could get their hands on.
Well, I like how you can get all those on HBO.
Oh, can you? Like in Canada, we still got them on. Every single one of them is still on Netflix.
Now, do you watch subbed or dubbed? What's your choice of watching the?
It really depends, like if I want to watch these movies like passively or not, because sometimes it's like Millennium Actress. I saw that movie with dub, and I'm sure it's better with subs. But I loved. It also depends. I mean, it's weird because like sometimes, it's not hard to like figure out. Sometimes there's a version that's definitively better. Like Grave of the Fireflies, the dub version sucks. The dub version
I actually like the dub. In all
because the Japanese baby character in Grave of the Fireflies sounds like an actual child. She sounds like an actual child. So like in the dub version, it's clearly like a grown woman pretending to be a 4-year-old. And in the Japanese version, they got an actual 4-year-old.
I always watch subtitled. So I mean, even at the theater now, they always do subtitled. They never do dubbed anymore. Dubbed is gone.
Subtitles. Like if you're in a theater, obviously there's no reason not to watch subtitles. Because
I saw the Disney version of Howl's Moving Castle at the Princess, and like that was totally worth it. I mean,
Billy Crystal's A Fireplace is the most amusing voice if in the dubbed.
And it's also nice to hear Christian Bale play a more soft-spoken, sympathetic character. Like I know there are a lot of people who think he's the wrong choice for Hal, but if I'm being honest, like the lack of resemblance there, I think is actually what made it work for me.
Wait,
and then you have Josh Hutcherson when he was a little kid.
Howl's Moving Castle. Christian Bale was the lead. Did you get to see Belle?
No, I never got around to that actually.
Belle is like a trippy music idol thing. No, Belle. It's for recently anime movie from 2021. And basically she's becoming this idol star, but she's stalked by a fan and gets murdered. And that's the film. It's fantastic.
Oh man, I love Perfect Blue. That's like one of my favorite.
That's a great.
You know what? I gotta be honest.
And I love the sub version of that one.
The sub one pissed me off so much with mainly how high pitched the main actress was. Like the constant screaming was just insufferable.
But that's why I liked it. Well, honestly, now that I think about it, like I do love the dub version too. Excuse me, who are you?
See, that part I remember. That part I remember enjoying.
That is buried in my memory from the trailers. I remember because I used to. The special interest section at Blockbuster was my jam when I was a kid. Fucking renting like documentaries and music concerts. And animes, because I would rent like horror movies and new releases like everyone else, but I would always like get one from special interest. Watching Morocco when I was like 12 years old, that shit was badass.
Well, I'll tell you now, skip scenes, Scream 6. It's not worth your time.
See, I'm hearing the opposite. I'm hearing mixed reviews. I'm hearing some people it's boring and lame, and I'm hearing for other people it's like it's not as good as the original, but it's better than some of the other sequels because
I know a guy who fucking can't stand.
It's got Jason 8 vibes, Jason Takes Manhattan vibes. I just like the image of the image of the Ghostface killer like robbing a convenience store with a fucking.
It has
shotgun.
A clip of Jason Takes Manhattan in the movie.
Of course, at least they're honest.
Characters are really strong. Like the lead characters are really strong, and the story is strong to a point. But every side character has absolutely nothing to do. There's no point for them to be there. They're literally a stereotype without even commenting on the stereotype. They just have no purpose.
Finally decided to show up, Farrell. Sorry, I'm late. How could I ever forgive you, Farrell? Jesus Christ, I'm just joking, man, dude. Who cares? Yeah, dude, you got shit going on.
Got his own logo. I dig it.
Yeah, Farrell, man. I'm glad you made it, dude. We were talking about all the Cronenberg movies and talked about Infinity Pool. We're just talking about other shit. One of the things. Well, go ahead.
I was going to say, I was thinking that Brandon Cronenberg should direct the next entry in the Scream franchise to really give it a fresh take.
Yeah, let's get
like
weird with
he takes over Scream or Halloween, like bring these up and like give Ari Aster a Halloween movie and see what he can do with it. Give Brandon Cronenberg the next Scream movie. Give Final Destination to the director of Titan and see what we get. Like that's what I want out of horror these days.
I like the idea of doing the Final Destination movies, but in very like outlandish settings, like a pirate ship or a Japanese samurai thing, or like a fucking in the future on another planet. You know, like
it could be its own anthology movie.
Oh my goodness! But I'm tired of these boring old like rehashes of the same thing. Like give it to a fresh person and let them just take the franchise in a wild direction.
But yeah, that's like back to the the Jason versus Hitman fucking theory. It's so fun. I want to see that. Yeah, Fear, I don't know if you watch the Psychic videos, but I was like talking about how like
Josh, one question. How was Hayden Panettiere coming back? Because that was literally the only thing that would make me even consider going back to see
Who
this.
is that?
The blonde
Heroes?
The blonde girl? Yeah, the blonde girl from Heroes.
Those or what?
Because she was the best part of Scream 4.
She starts off really interesting, and then she becomes an FBI agent, and then she just sort of dwindles away, and they don't know what to do with her. When they get to the third act, they reveal a location. That's a pretty cool idea for a movie and the way they connect the other films, but they really should have waited. They revealed it too soon. They're so involved in creating
the theater.
Yeah, they reveal that way too early in the film. It should be saved for the finale.
Well, I saw the last one, not this new one, but I saw the last one where it was like Jenny Ortega and what's her name?
Melissa Barrera.
That MILF police officer lady. What was the actress?
I think it's Melissa Barrera, I think is her name.
But the shame in the beginning of this movie is we get Samara Weaving as the first victim. And if you've seen Ready or Not, she's phenomenal. And I want her to be in the movie.
No, that's what they're doing with the first Scream and the second Scream. You have like Jada Pinkett on the cover. You have Drew Barrymore on the cover, like she's the star. And just like Psycho,
yeah, but that felt
kill off the fucking main advertisement actress in the first 5 minutes.
Well, she's not mainly advertised, but Ready or Not was a movie that just blew my mind. The way she was able to carry that and work within that film, and I think she's got a future if she gets the right role.
That was another one of those like slasher family movies, right?
It was super cool. The setup that they have to play a board game of death before they can get married. Super neat. But Samara Weaving was incredible in that. And she was also in Bill and Ted. She played the blonde. She was great. She has a lot of range.
She was a lot of range.
I do like how she was put next to Margot Robbie in Babylon because like the resemblance was just so fucking uncanny.
I did not catch Babylon. I didn't get around to it.
It's really gonna depend. It's that kind of movie.
Well, I think that when it comes to Scream 6, you're looking at a movie that feels very much like they're trying to like John Wick 2. That's the best way I can phrase it. At the beginning of John Wick 2, he has to wrap up the plot from the other movie. So we wrap up the plot from the other movie, then we get to the plot of this movie, and then there's twists and turns, and there's 3 or 4 third act twists, and it just feels redundant after a while. Like the audience is like,
yeah.
The kills are really good, but that's about what I can say. And Jenna Ortega is excellent in this. Or what's her name? The Wednesday girl. She's really good. So.
I gotta ask, like, when did the sudden obsession over her start? Because I had never heard of her until last year.
Wednesday is huge.
Yeah. Well, also she was in Scream 5 or whatever the hell the last one was too.
Yeah.
And she was like,
I knew her.
But I remember thinking, oh no, she was also in X. She's in X too, which I noticed her from. But she's like, she's very like sexual and hot and erotic, but she looks too young, especially as Wednesday 100%. Adams.
Well, she
her playing Wednesday Adams, which is weird because Wednesday Adams is a child character, but like the actress is over 18 or whatever. But it's like, yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Christina
also, this
Ricci
movie fails. Don't watch the trailer of Scream 6 if you're going to go see Scream 6. It shows the finale.
Okay.
Why would you do that?
Well, Farrell was saying, this idea of the bait and switch of like, killing the celebs real quick, saving money.
Yeah. I mean, it worked with Psycho once. It's never going to work again. Just
Farrell, what do you think of my my fucking Infinity Pool background? I love it. I'm just
that
like,
is super cool. Like a part of me wishes I had done that with mine.
If you look carefully, like you can see how sloppy it is. Like especially if you have your brightness settings up, you'll see how sloppy my head's cut out. But it looks good enough for making it
still better than anything.
I made it 10 minutes on my laptop, But as far as another thing, like kind of lastly, I wanted to talk. The last episode of The Last of Us was last night.
Haven't seen it.
So I didn't either, but I played the game and I wanted to talk about it because
I actually
played the game
this afternoon.
Everyone's got mixed reviews, but I also wanted to say, like, man, Jesus, on the Critic or Drinker page, like I remember Wes posted like a praising like opinion about it, and God, he got lambasted by some trolls. It was insane.
What did he say? He just said he liked it or something?
He basically said, yeah, he liked the ending, and if you didn't like it, then you probably don't have kids either. And he's
okay,
like,
so what's the
pictures.
ending? I've played the game. I'm going to watch the episode. I don't really care about spoilers.
The game is great, okay? But here's the thing. Here's what's about the show. I mean, I haven't seen the show, but from what I'm gathering, what I've heard, what I've seen, it just seems like they've taken the show. I've said before, like, if they adapt the game very faithfully, they could easily make one of the greatest shows of all time.
That's
easily.
That's the gist of it. Like,
but I don't want them to adapt the show perfectly. I'd like them to make a few minor changes so certain characters can live in the second season.
So here's the here's the problem I'm having. Here's the big problem I'm having why I'm not interested in watching it. By all accounts, it seems like the whole first game is done in the whole first season. 9 episodes.
That's exactly what happened.
You could have stretched the first game out for 3-4 seasons, but of course they're like rushing. It's this bait and switch shit. They're like rushing to get to the fucking second game.
I think the whole for the first game, you could have had the entire first season end on the climactic event of all the clickers in the basement, and that's the final episode.
Cliffhanger, right?
Right
that's
there.
The thing. What you're talking about,
2 hours.
People were talking about how wonderful the Bill episode is, the exposition episode.
It's a good episode, but doesn't fit the series,
right? And the thing is, especially if you understand like how limited time they had to play the first game, because you understand in the game. All that stuff that's about Bill, it's all subtext, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You know that there's like a dude who he may or may not have been romantically involved in who has died. Mm-hmm. That's what he finds out. And they're like, they kind of had a falling out and he's very upset. That's why it's kind of implied they're lovers. But like doing a whole expository episode about their history would be cool if you were stretching it out and padding it out.
Yeah.
Why don't you pad it out? And like you're saying, like, let's not do 100% adaptation.
No,
Let's take
imagine what you
seasons.
could fill in there.
Yes.
Imagine what you could do between him meeting Ellie and Tess and everything. But in that first episode, her wig was so distracting and fake. And in Apocalypse, you're not worrying about your hair. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, so like obviously like that was the thing about. I remember seeing that post where like Wes was getting like lambasted. And I thought those people were like being way too harsh, like basically fucking being mean, you know, unnecessarily like insulting the dude and shit. And it's just like. It's just like that's uncalled for, but I also kind of agree with them that this show seems bad, especially if you haven't played the game, you wouldn't understand. Because like what I've got gathering is like they've taken the stuff that made it great. Like they've taken the show. How do we get women? How do we get housewives into this video game? Well, let's adapt it like a certain way because like all the stuff that made the game so great is like you're constantly on edge, constantly like looking for resources. Every fucking bullet counts because everywhere is like fucking zombies and clickers and bloaters. And then when there's not that, you might run into what's even worse, which is humans, other people. And like the idea that you could just be walking along and all of a sudden there's like you hear some people over there and it's all of a sudden like high alert. Oh my God. You only have 2 rifle bullets and a fucking knife and like, you know,
have you beat it on survivalist mode with only fists and stuff? That is hard, but it's worth it.
It's one of those games where it's like you die 100,000 times, just like Alien Isolation.
Mm-hmm.
But dude, at the end of the game, the first game, when the story ends, like it's revealed and like the credits roll, like even if you're by yourself, you're playing a video game, you want to put the controller down and stand up and like fucking start clapping your hands like a seal. That was amazing. And
but the reason the game works better than the show, I think, is because there's quiet moments in the move. Like you go through all the action and you get this quiet moment of simply looking at a zebra and them just talking. And that really works because it's paced really well.
Yeah. Yeah. And I remember talking about, you know, with The Last of Us, the thing is like, again, the game, so like it's like The Walking Dead, where like the first episode is apparently very faithful to the game. The opening Austin crazy fucking watching the zombies break out. That stuff is very faithful. And they added some new stuff because like, that's what you think they're going to do. They're going to do the show, but bloat it out. They're going to do the game, but bloat it out. That's great. But that's not what they're doing. They're really rushing it out. And that's why it's so even weirder that they spent a whole episode talking about like, you know, adding this whole Bill romance episode, which is,
it was a good episode. Just didn't fit the show.
Right. And it would have fit if like, episode 9 would have ended like a quarter way of the game. Like you could have wrapped it up. Like, yeah, I mean, but when you're playing the game, like a good quarter point would be like the Bill situation, getting out of that cemetery to the school, trying to get the fucking engine out of the bus. I don't know if this is how accurate this is.
Hiding in all the houses because you keep getting attacked by the clickers and trying to get past the shed section.
And that's the other thing, like constantly, like this in survival mode, it's always like avoid,
run
away, avoid conflict.
Yep.
Oh, wait. I'm waiting on reviews to watch. Drinker dropped his today. Never played the game, though. Oh, Last of Us. Yeah, he said he praised it. And that was another thing was like, Wes was like posting about how like I'm vindicated because the Drinker agreed with me. And it's like, well, I mean, I agree that the show is probably good, but I also agree with people that it's probably not nearly as good as the game.
5, so.
But this idea that I also agree that people are probably just trying to hate on it because it seems to be, like I said, like I don't like it because it's like, they're trying to ruin a good thing. They already know that they can do it. They're doing it right, it seems.
And here's what I think we don't understand about art. Like Tyler will tell you, I will go on the biggest, loudest rant about whatever movie I hate. But at the end of the day, if you love it, go love it. What does it matter about my opinion? I'm just having fun. I'm trying to make you laugh by being ridiculous.
Yeah, and that's the problem that's the problem with one of our Facebook groups is that there's a little bit of pressure from some members to just agree with whatever the Drinker does. And
I don't agree with that either. Yeah.
It's like ridiculous.
You don't understand? I'm an Ethan Van Sciver guy. If I'm going to have to like draw allegiances to like certain podcasters, like I agree with Ethan Van Sciver.
Is that the
like Comicsgate?
Okay,
Comic Artist Pro Secrets. He's the guy who's doing the comics. See, that's why I'm getting into the YouTube thing. I'm a graphic designer. I'm an illustrator. I'm trying to build up this channel so at the end of the year I can announce a graphic novel. I want to do a vampire book, do some books. I mean, it's one thing I went to school for. It's something that I haven't done before professionally, out of my wheelhouse. I make, festival posters and shit for a living. So it's fun. But as far as like the Comicsgate, what Ethan was saying, he's one of those dudes where it's like, you got like Nerdrotic and the Fandom Menace dudes and Friday Night Tights and the Drinker. Like they basically are, watching all this stuff and lambasting it. So we don't have to. I appreciate the Drinker because even if I don't agree with his takes, he certainly doesn't seem biased. He will definitely like praise movies and knock movies just as easily. Whereas like Nerdrotic and these Fandom Menace dudes, like you can tell there's like a kind of what Comic Artist Pro Secret says, and not comic, but Comics Matter with your boy Zach, like your boy Zach, diversity in comics, whatever. He was saying like there's like a industry with these like Doomcocks and Nerdrotic and Az and these guys. Like if Disney does make something good, like a lot of them are like, man, it's like, now I'm kind of going to lose money, and nobody wants to hear you like praise stuff as much as they want to hear you hate on stuff. But also furthermore, it's like with this new show that people are liking.
You also have the guys over at Film Fret that will literally review anything. And, even when they have a problem with someone like Disney, if a movie's good, they're willing to point it out. And
yeah, but you also have critics like in the, mainstream YouTube critic sphere that are like basically Disney shills. Like they pretend it's like that whole Red Letter Media fucking the Nerd Crew or whatever. They're just like basically
there's also
advertisers for the big corporations. I'm
getting
excited for Ant-Man 3.
There's also this growing podcast that was starting literally the same year I did, and we never collaborated, but I kind of touched base with them as a fan. The GOAT movie podcast, that's literally what it says. Yeah. These guys will praise any Marvel, DC, or Christopher Nolan movie like it is nobody's business. Like these guys desperately want to be Chris Stuckman, but they don't realize
1883 is really good.
What are those shows?
That comment there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Shows?
Great show.
The Western,
Yellowstone.
People are appreciating Westerns again because of it.
Everyone's
loving art for a while.
Everyone's loving the Paramount Plus extended universe or whatever.
Oh yeah.
What else is Farrell saying? I don't always agree with the Drinker either, but I do respect his analysis. Yeah, me too. He knows what he's talking about, even if you don't agree with him. Like he always backs up what he's saying. But he's definitely like not my favorite like YouTube commenter. He's probably like top 5. But I certainly was just talking about this earlier today. Critics are getting as predictable as the Disney formula. Yeah, for sure. And it's also like there was the new show, the Star Trek Picard season 3. And these people are like talking about how they're praising it. But I agree with Doomcock. It's like, okay, yeah. So let's say they learn their lesson and they start making good shit, but it's still fucking Disney. They still fucked up and like, they still owe Gina Carano apology. Like, is it okay? Like, it's like Ethan Van Sciver says, let's say the Ku Klux Klan. All right. You know them, right? Let's say they started making like a really good television show that everyone loved and people watched it, but it's like it was made by the KKK. Like you would think that most people would be like, I still don't want to support this. Like, I don't care. Like, even if they did.
Well, I mean, if you look at people, I mean, you still see drunk girls at the club getting down to Chris Brown. People don't, people will pick and choose their battles. They pick and choose their Me Toos.
That's the question. Like, if Disney starts improving the movies, are you willing to forgive and forget? Or like, are we really just kind of like
to? I don't know if I definitively would.
Right.
Disney's past their prime. They had their golden age in the 90s and into the early 2000s, and Treasure Planet was the last great thing I think that came out from them. I like Treasure Planet a lot.
I mean,
I like Treasure
Planet.
You
guys already know what I think is like the last great Disney product, but
I mean, if you look at Disney, they go in cycles. Like, they were really big in the 40s, and then all of a sudden in the 60s and 70s, they were hit and miss. And then in the 80s, they were a bummer, but then the 80s and 90s, they were great. So
that's the thing about Disney.
Wasn't the Little Mermaid? That was like that. What marked the comeback, right?
Yeah, that was
because their animation department before Little Mermaid was not even on the Disney Studio backlot. It was next to a bowling alley. And then comes in this songwriter, Howard Ashman, who did some stuff on Broadway. He got hired to work with Alan Menken. And because dude was so influential, he was a producer. He could actually direct the actors as they were singing and recording. This guy he nailed what made musicals work more in animation as opposed to live action. He understood how they correlated with the story. And of course, like, he just hired people based off talent as opposed to nowadays with image.
Well, you can see Disney's in major trouble because remember when they were going all Disney Plus and all this? Now they want to get into the physical media market again and make better editions and license their titles. They want it back.
They're also trying to license their movies out to other streaming platforms where it's like, I thought your whole thing was like exclusivity on Disney Plus.
I mean, if you were collecting physical media for Disney and you bought Pirates of the Caribbean, that was the lowest of lows. It was awful. It was bad. You could have watched the VHS. It was better. But now they're really considering physical media again, even if it's just a simple Blu-ray.
Honestly,
without an insert.
I would be into a streaming service. I've said this before, probably with Tyler, but like, if you had a streaming service where you're like, your draw was like, we have all the commentary tracks as well. I would be like, I'll pay for.
I think you may have said that once and you know what? Netflix is trying that with Glass Onion has a director's commentary. But
I don't want to fucking hear what Ryan Johnson has to say.
No,
that's out of all the director's commentaries, you're gonna do that one. At the same time, I'm glad because he can explain his fucking stupid reasoning for the movie. We can try to understand.
I wanted to shoot myself the first 5 minutes.
If you can get a hold of any Arnold Schwarzenegger commentaries, it is the greatest thing you'll ever hear.
It's why I started doing.
That's me. I'm moving. It's like
that's why I started doing full length commentary tracks with my cousin. Because it's like sometimes, and there's another good. There's so many good because Arnold narrates his movies. Yeah. There's another good one. We did Big Trouble in Little China, me and my cousin, because the actual Big Trouble in Little China commentary is John Carpenter and Kurt Russell just sitting in a chair. How are you? Catching up. It's literally fucking 2 hours of like talking about their kids and shit. And like, their grandkids going to school now. And this guy, I remember this guy from the fucking crew. He was so fun and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, Escape from LA has a great commentary track. I highly recommend.
Yeah, I'm still working on my Tremors commentary. I'm trying to do another pass with my cousin, but I'm trying to get the Tremors commentary to perfection, if you catch my pun. But I've it's just been sitting, and also like I'm at the point where I'm running out of I only have one movie in the bag. Like we watched like 5 movies at one point, and I had like a bunch to edit and release them slowly. But it's like if we don't watch any movies today or tomorrow, like I'm gonna have to like just watch something solo so I can put out a video this week.
Will you ever do a Spencer Tracy series? I'm all over that. Spencer Tracy is my favorite actor of all time.
Oh, cool. Well, yeah, the We Watch movies, we're kind of specializing right now in we're trying to burn through all these like 80s and early 90s like cult movies that we can kind of like, it's like Mystery Science Theater for it's kind of like EFAT movies, but with like Come Town style humor. That's how I
have you got to Prom Queen 2, Hello Mary Lou?
No, I haven't done any of those. So we've only got like 4 or 5 movies in the bag. We did Suburban Commando, we did Sidekicks and the Hitman.
Yes.
We did
flips the skateboard into space.
Dude, we did Vampire Motorcycle.
Oh my goodness. Dog. I watched Santa with Muscles recently. It is the greatest thing known to man.
Is that Hulk Hogan also?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hulk Hogan gets amnesia and thinks he's a mall Santa, and he has to fight Inspector Gadget villains who want to take over an orphanage because there's a diamond mine underneath.
We'll add that to the list. We'll release that around Christmas time for sure.
It's so good. It's so memorable. It's got the greatest insult of all time. The bad guy, this evil villain who wants this land for a diamond mine, looks at his thing. He's like, why haven't we got it yet? He's like, if I want your opinion, I would have it surgically removed.
Nice. I want Dude, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where like we just have a blast watching them. But then it's because we watched a few movies on Discord together. It was like we watched Tremors, the prequel, the fourth one.
Oh
we
my
watched
goodness,
Step Up Revolution.
Oh,
We watched that Alexis Texas fucking stripper zombies movie or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah, I've seen that.
We watched like 4 or 5 of these dumb movies, and we realized I gotta start recording these because it's too much fun. We're laughing our asses off, and then I figured they were worth releasing because when I tried editing, I'm laughing my ass off as well.
Nice.
Again. And maybe I'm just a vain narcissist, but we're having a good time. But like, I want to watch The Relic as soon as possible because Tom Sizemore just passed away, and it's like one of his few like leading roles, and it's a big monster movie running around the fucking museum eating people's hypothalamuses. I was trying to watch it last week, but my cousin had everyone's swamped right now because of South by and work and family tragedies. That's the other thing. Like, me and my cousin were currently dealing with some stuff. I mean, my uncle's going to be okay, it looks like, but like, yeah, he almost died from a hernia last Friday.
Ooh.
He basically got a hernia on Tuesday, or he had a hernia for years and years. And then he tried to put like a fucking lawnmower, big riding lawnmower in the back of his truck by himself. And he's like a fucking 60-year-old man, and he obviously thought he blew his back out. But what happened was his hernia like ruptured out of his abdominal wall. And like by Friday, a part of his intestine had died, and he was getting like septic shock and shit. He almost died. They had they had a helicopter him out to Galveston and remove a foot of his intestine. He's still wide open and intubated. So
all right,
they're trying to sew him up hopefully tomorrow, but hopefully he'll be okay. It looks like he's pulling through. He's believe it or not, he's survived much worse than this. So I think Dino's going to be okay. So
well, have you got you're doing cult classes from the 80s. When you get to UHF, I'm there.
Oh, I love UHF.
Movie.
But see, that might not be the type of movie to riff because like it's so funny and entertaining on its own. And also that's the other thing is trying not to watch movies that are like I got away with putting an 18-minute video of Megan out.
Okay.
But like as far as like current or bigger mainstream movies, it's like I'm worried about the copyright police. Because like I'm not trying to monetize my channel. I don't give a shit. If I try to
I would totally volunteer for Cats because I have seen that one Stoned and the
new one.
Yes.
See, like, I have the riff tracks.
There's nothing drug fueled about the original stage version.
I have the riff tracks version of it, and it's hilarious. So it's like I don't think I could top that, But
I remember reviewing it for 420 just for all the cat puns I can come up with. How they literally have no pussies or fur balls, but there's plenty of tail to go around.
Oh man, when you get to Leprechaun 3, you're in for a treat.
Oh, I love Leprechaun 3. That's the Vegas one. That's my favorite one. That's my favorite one because the wishes, the coins, and then like the idea that it's like the Wishmaster movies.
Or Leprechauns 4, where it's like aliens with a leprechaun.
Yeah, Leprechaun in space, and then the 2 Leprechaun in the Hood movies.
Leprechaun in the Hood is amazing.
There's Leprechaun in the Hood too, as well. And then it's also
starring Ice-T.
But the Vegas one's the best one because like the leprechauns make sense in the Vegas setting with the casinos and the shamrocks and the pots of gold.
Yeah.
It's so fucking it felt right. The leprechaun running around the barn in the first movie in the farm, that's weird.
I liked it to a point. I have a good time with it. Every Leprechaun movie has its merits except for Leprechaun 2018.
There should be there's like a wishing well or something, right? That's like
I guess
leprechaun-y.
So.
But like
they get gold and they hide it or whatever at the end of the rainbow.
That's like ultimate leprechaun vibes.
Leprechauns in space.
Yeah, Leprechaun talk about the one-liners, dude. There once was a man from Madras whose balls were made of fine brass, and in stormy weather they clanged together.
The lawnmower kill. That lawnmower kill where he
ass.
thinks he's looking at a girl's anatomy and then goes to a lawnmower and it cuts up his face is great. That's a great movie kill. So, yeah. I like Leprechaun way too much.
What's that one lady in the third one? She's a famous scream girl from she's from like Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, and she's she's like the magician's like assistant, and she's like kind of older. Feels like she wants cosmetic surgery. She wants to be beautiful again, and she wishes like she wants a big bust and shit. And then he makes her like
the one to do, and you can fully roast this movie: Slumber Party Massacre 2.
Yeah.
It has a musical number with an Elvis like killer who comes out of the dreams like Freddy Krueger, and he's gonna drill all over you, and he makes rock and roll puns when he can't kill people. It's phenomenal,
dude. All the seconds of those slasher movies, they're all like so crazy. Like you got Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 with the poster where they're all like doing the Breakfast Club. Like that shit's fucking hilarious. And then you've got Jason 2 where it's like actually Jason. Friday the 13th, or sorry, Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, which is like that whole like closet homosexual
Part 3
story.
is great.
I love Dream Warriors, but Part 2 is one of those ones that like the Red Letter Media guys were just talking about it, and they were saying like, yeah, like I mean that's the thing that's only been discovered recently is like all the like closeted homosexual like subtext. That's
is that the one where he rides the school bus into hell?
Part 2 was the one where it's like the little boy, the teenage boy is like possessed by Freddy, and it's like, you know, the whole thing is basically like a metaphor for like coming out of the closet. And even the filmmaker's like, I had no idea none of that shit was in there. And he's like, no, people don't believe him.
Have you sat through Terror Train with Jamie Lee Curtis?
Yeah. Yeah.
How about those remakes? Avoid them like the plague. Avoid the remakes. They made 2 of them in 6 months, and they're awful. Wow. There's Terror also Train? A remake. Yeah, there's also a remake of Slumber Party Massacre, and it's bad. It's very bad. Don't watch it.
But see, that's the thing. It's like, okay, like remake some of these movies. Like I was saying, like, yeah, try remaking, what was the one? Scanners. Yeah, remake Scanners. Don't remake Videodrome. It's very Rey Mysterio Sr. ripping off faces like Mass Luchador style. What is that? I introduced someone to WrestleManiac. Okay.
There's one that would be great. You should watch along to is Brewster McCloud. You cannot explain that movie. You just have to experience it. It's an Altman film.
The stuff that's on our lists are like, you know, I know Farrell had recommended The Cellar. I wanted to watch, so like, for instance, I also like it when we watch these like really lame, like straight to video, like kids movies. Like I want to watch Prehysteria with the little dinosaurs, and also Baby Secret of the Lost Land or whatever.
Tyler wanted to do a rewatch of Barney's Great Adventure, so there you go.
But like the idea of like watching Prehysteria and filling it with like the most like R-rated jokes and shit is just funny to me. But also we've got movies like, you know, Batteries Not Included, and I found this other one called like the Angel Trilogy, and it's like about a high schooler who's like a fucking prostitute.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
That sounds pretty edgy.
3 of them. They're so boring.
Okay, good.
Angel of Harlem is the worst.
Okay, well, I'll take them off the list then.
No, like, but I don't know the first one is better, but
I want to go into the. Well, I definitely don't want to watch all 3 of them because I remember like
I have them on VHS. I'm a sucker.
I found out about Avenging Angel, and I was like, "This looks cool," but then I found out it was part 2, and I'm like, "Oh, part 1," and there's like part 3 too. I was like, oh, "Okay," and I was like, "This might be a bit."
Okay,
but,
you want to put a good one on there? Watch Motel Hell. That's all I'm going to say.
Motel on. I have that one on VHS. That's one I've.
Oh, that's a great find. Where'd you get that one?
Dude, I was like. I got a wall of stuff behind me, but
Motel
like
Hell is hard to get, and that's a great movie.
Yeah, I got some good ones that are hard to find. I got like Akira on VHS and Rockula, and
I got Ghost in the Shell. That one was a nice pickup.
I got Ghost in the Shell on VHS back there. I've got boxes, you know, the box art and everything too.
Yeah, I got original Sleepaway Camp from the first pressing, so I'm very proud.
Yeah, you were telling me about that. That's crazy.
I gotta go pull that, and I also got Nightmare on Elm Street 3, and I've got most of the Friday the 13th now, and I've got the first 2 prom night movies and such. And
nice.
Yeah,
I'm
a
man.
big Sleepaway Camp fan.
Love the good horror films, but yeah, as far as like, these other like 80s like Scream Queen flicks, man, I loved. I always liked Jason more. I don't know. Jason's great because like if one of these guys was gonna be on your side for any reason, it would be Jason most likely. Yeah. He's got like the anti-hero type vibes, but also like Freddy versus Jason. Like obviously Freddy has better movies, better kills. But Jason is just like a walking, like there's that part in like the I was joking about that part where Freddy versus Jason where they light his ass on fire and he doesn't even react. Like he just kind of stands there and he's like, is that it?
Hey, you know, it'd be I've wanted to watch, but I want someone to watch it for me. If someone can watch me the Munsters reboot so I don't have to sit through it, that'd be great.
Yeah, I would watch it if they I would turn my color off. If I could like watch it in black and white, I feel like I'd like it more. It looks like hot vomit.
Rob Zombie is hit, miss.
Oh, your DVD binders. Yeah, that's the thing. I used to have all my DVDs in a binder, but once I got too many, it's like there was a point when I was living in Austin, I had 3 closets in a 3-bedroom house. They're all filled with movies.
Oh, nice.
And when I say filled, I mean like you couldn't, there were movies back against the wall. You'd have to take like boxes and boxes worth of movies out to get to the movies in the back. It's like, it's too many. It's too many. When I started putting shit on hard drives, and that was stupid because like I download a movie and then just like watch it once and it'd just be clouding on my hard drive. Now I just use like fucking stupid streaming sites that are like not sanctioned. You know, I have ad block and I just like kind of watch shit whenever I want. Because even movies I own or movies I pay for, like I can't tell you how many times I'm like, let's watch it here. And it's like, it's not working or there's something wrong or it doesn't have subtitles. And I'll just pull it up on some illegal bullshit site and like, oh, here it is with subtitles. Here it is with like the proper theatrical cut that I want to see. The one that I own on fucking DVD. Like if I want to watch Legend, you have to fucking watch the lame director's cut with the stupid like Howard Shore remake score. It's like, I want the Tangerine Dream score.
Oh,
you know?
Have you seen Sleepaway Camp 5? Return to Sleepaway Camp. It's atrocious. It's fun to watch.
I would be down to burn through the whole series, honestly.
Oh, man, if you want to do that, I am totally.
But yeah,
anything Camp like 4 is just flashbacks with one new scene because the company went bankrupt.
Yeah, anything like that. There were some other movies that were like recommended to us. Like there was weird, like the wizard, the Wizard of Space and Time or something.
Oh, I gotta look this one up.
There's like the boy who could fly, which I remember is from my childhood. There was the Lady in White. Weird movies that are like, you know, the little phantoms in my memory growing up.
There's one I can't remember the title, but it's like Sleepaway Camp meets what's that one with the island with the boys on the island, the famous book.
No, Lord of the Flies.
It's like, yeah, Sleepaway Camp meets Lords of the Fly. It's like a parentless camp thing. It was released only on Laserdisc. I watched it once and I can't find it now.
You know, there was actually an all-girls version of Lord of the Flies, except it was like a modern-day slumber party with no adults, where all of a sudden it was an earthquake. I can't remember what it was called.
That might be cool.
I've great 80s trash.
Well, this is
Night of the Comet. Night of the Comet was one that I wanted.
Night of the Comet is great. Class of '99 is phenomenal with the robots and everything. Oh, that's
Surf
great.
Ninjas. That's another one I wanted to.
Oh, Moment of Truth 315. It's got the guy who plays Casey from Chuck, and there's gonna be this fight after school, and everyone takes it so seriously. It's fantastically done.
Moment of Truth.
Moment of Truth 315. It's great. Yeah. It's like after school they're gonna kill each other, you know, and then.
Battle Royale style, damn.
Oh, DC Cab is a blast. It's a complete nonsensical Joe Schumacher something.
Schmooker. I love Joe Schumacher, man.
Oh my goodness. Boys. It's got Mr. T, Gary Busey, and Bill Maher. That's the cast. That's DC Cab. And they're a struggling cab company. Yeah, Bill Maher is in DC Cab. Let me get the case. It's beautiful.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at this. How did I not know about this? Holy shit.
Dude, yeah, crazy movies that like only you know about. Like remember Motorama? With that little kid steals the fucking car and like he's playing that lottery game, Motorama.
Just look at this cover. Tell me you don't want to watch DC Cab.
Here. Sorry, let me full screen you. Full screen.
Look at this. DC Cab. Mr. T is the lead. And then you have two brothers who are like bumbling idiots, and he's trying to get the neighborhood kids to stop doing drugs. And then Gary Busey's like an unhinged man who's into government conspiracies. And then like everyone's trying to shut them down, and his wife kicks him out of a house, and he has a flamethrower, and they have to stop a kidnapping.
Whoa.
It's absolute mayhem.
Jesus. Well, yeah, I mean,
DC Cab is a phenomenally stupid movie.
Yellow Jackets. Yeah, I think Yellow Jackets was a series, right, Tyler?
Yes, it was. I think it still is. It's got a second season coming.
Have you done a review of Cop Rock? Does that exist that I can watch if you're watching Cop Rock?
I would love. Yeah, that's a great. That's the kind of shit. That's the kind of shit I'm talking about. That I want to burn through right now.
Have you seen Cop Rock, Tyler? It's a musical cop show. It's brilliant.
I've seen clips of it. I know about Cop Rock.
I think I have actually.
They lasted for 4 episodes. They sing everything.
Right. It's a full blown musical cop
My
show.
Pet Monster, great film.
This is basically
My Pet Monster was fun. I had a My Pet Monster growing up.
Fucking Randy Newman did the music for. Oh God, that explains a lot
for what?
Cop Rock.
Oh God, I didn't know that. I love Randy Newman. I know the Family joke is true. The Family Guy joke is true about how he only fucking plays like 5 chords, but dude, some of his songs are great.
Well, it's because the words are better than the fucking 5. Well, okay, sometimes the words are worse, but
He's got good melodies, though. I mean,
he
even though he's
does.
using
Like
5 chords.
Princess and the Frog's
When
music
the
is
road
incredibly
is looking
underrated.
rough ahead and you're miles and miles from your nice warm bed, you just remember what Stupenzo said. You got a friend in me.
Randy Newman and Lyle Lovett, folks. Give it up for them.
You know what I love is there's a great album. If you don't like Randy Newman, you should check out Nilsson Sings Newman, and it's Harry Nilsson from Lime and the Coconut, and he's like the 5th Beatle or whatever they called him. But he sings a bunch of Randy Newman songs, and like songs like oh, thank you, Farrell. Songs like Love Story and I'll Be Home. Those songs are fantastic, especially when Harry Nilsson sings them, because he's a great singer. And like, yeah, it's like those Newman songs were much better when another person's singing them, because Randy Newman sings like this or whatever the fuck, you know,
like in his Monk theme song, which is actually pretty.
I like that song.
It's
like
good.
That song. It's a catchy ass song, man. I know karaoke bars sometimes have it.
It just sets the mood for the show so well.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like your theme songs need to like, oh, Richard Cheese, thank you. Yeah, no, that's my band. My band is Fecal Pickle, and it's literally like me and a piano player doing like Richard Cheese type stuff, except instead of us doing like really fancy versions of debaucherous songs, we're doing like really debaucherous versions of like Michael Bublé songs and Rufus Wainwright songs.
Oh, come on. But you know what?
Yeah.
If you want to get into Harry Nilsson, start with Son
Clem
of
Snide.
Snilchen. That's a great album.
I love, yeah. I love, what was it? Popeye. Jesus Christ. Popeye growing up, that Popeye Robin Williams movies.
Yeah.
And then, what was it? Budge Drunk Love, recycling that He Needs Me song. That's like the best part of the whole soundtrack. What else does Farrell say? Nice. Yeah, nice indeed. But yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, we're approaching 3 hours. It's been fun. I guess kind of wind it down. Talk about this Oscar debacle tomorrow at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time, correct?
Yeah, that's so our time line basically.
6:30 my time.
Oh, is that? Oh, okay.
Is that how that works?
I'm pretty sure. Like I googled the difference between Ontario and Texas, and it was literally only an hour. So.
No, I think me and you are probably similar. Same thing with them, actually. Yeah, it's an hour.
Well, Josh and I are from the same. Josh and I are from the same city, so
nice. Let's see. The Purple People Eater. That is on the list that we added to the Dorkside watch list. That was Farrell's recommendation. We had a whole bunch of them. I don't want to pull up Discord and look through the list because I'm already on my camera and microphone, and sometimes when I pull up Discord while I'm streaming, it'll like disconnect both of those.
You have to do Hercules in New York. They dubbed Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, Arnold. Yeah. I know that one. That's a good one.
That is not Hercules. He doesn't even look like me.
If I could riff, but yeah, dude, I was talking about the Total Recall audio commentary with Arnold and Paul Verhoeven, and they both like got like thick, like, you know, Germanic accents, and they have like, you know, Paul, you know, Arnold's just narrating. This is the part where I use the guy as a human shield. And it's funny because he's just a man out on this day minding his business, and I get him killed. It's awful. That's like the whole commentary track, dude. It's amazing. He does the part where I've joked about it multiple times, where like the funniest part I ever heard in commentary, besides Trey Parker and Matt Stone doing the commentary track for Cannibal the musical, where they're drunk on schnapps by the end, like farting in the microphone, like like that. That's the funniest commentary track I've ever heard in my life. But second best would be Total Recall, where the three-breasted woman gets killed. She gets shot, and Arnold just starts like laughing uproariously, like, and he's just like, he says, it's one thing to shoot someone, it's another thing to shoot someone in the back, and it's another thing to shoot a woman in the back. And Paul Verhoeven's like, a woman with 3 breasts. Yeah, that's the exchange, like word for word, verbatim. I swear. Yeah. So we have fun here. That's kind of what I'm getting at. Well, yeah, I mean, Josh, it was nice meeting you, man. I look forward to. Let's see, Pharaoh, one last comment. I saw a video the other day where they used the Predator end credit reel, but the Golden Girls music. Hell yeah. I love that song.
You got to check out the walkoflife.com where they put the walk of life.
I love the
walk of
walkoflife.com, dude. The Walk of Life project. Yes. I got to change out this theme music for the Walk of Life. That's what I should do. Yeah. Because, like, you could end any movie, like, whether it be The Matrix or, you know, name a movie. Upright, what's it called? Law Abiding Citizen?
DC Cab.
7. DC Cab. They can all end with the Walk of Life song. This podcast could end with the Walk of Life song. But instead, we're just going to do this. But, yeah. So, yeah, give it up for Tyler. Josh, they got a channel together. I know Tyler's
check out the
got
Josh and
his own
Tyler
channel.
show, y'all. Josh and Tyler show.
Put a link to Tyler's channel. I didn't put a link to this other channel. I'll
send you
edit
a link.
that. All right, cool. And then, yeah, I don't know. Check out Infinity Pool. Stay away from those damn Cronenbergs, man. They're everywhere.